Hi, I'm Steve. Very welcome to Manor Park, the Northwest's only permanent auction location. We have cars, but we have some brown cars as well. I'm not quite sure why. We didn't really have brown motorbikes, did we? Actually, that's not true. I'm thinking of the Honda Deauville and the Goldwing. I'm sure you could get them in brown, but then again, they were a brown kind of motorcycle. However, here at Manor Park, we do not discriminate. 4 wheels, 3 wheels, 2 wheels, which is what we're going to be concentrating on here, at, like I said, the Northwest's only permanent classic bike auction location. So your bike can be brought here, even when the weather is appalling as it is outside, and it's stored in here where it's lovely and dry and warm, away from all that nasty weather and safe. Our next sale is this Friday, and obviously most of the action is online. However, if you can come down, it's always a great day with like-minded people. I shouldn't really say this in case the boss is watching, but even if you don't buy anything, it's an absolutely cracking day out. And if you come down just for a day out, you might be tempted. So even if you're not thinking of buying something, make sure you register, because you never know. You might see something and think, I've got to have that. I've got to have that. Honda CBR 1000 RR. Yeah. This is the top of the tree, isn't it? 30th anniversary of the CBR as we know it. And this is a very special one. It's based on the race bike, the customer race bike, the ones that made available for sale. But this is very special because it's one of 30 that have been made, a strictly limited edition of 30. When people say a limited edition, what they mean is as many as we think we can sell. The 30 had meaning here. 30 years of the CBR and 100 starts of one of its best known exponents, Mr. John McGuinness, Lancashire's own John McGuinness, TT legend. And so that means that this bike has the top of the tree suspension, the top of the tree braking system, top of the tree electronics. This is all the most expensive, most desirable high performance kit. And added to that, a very special paint job, all sorts of limited edition extras. You get McPint's signature on the tank. There are only ever going to be 30. This one is unused. That means no miles. We don't even know if it's even been started. It's not just mint and immaculate, it's better than that. And it could be available to you for, the estimate on this one is between £40,000 and £45,000. 2023 Honda CBR 1000 RR, don't forget the extra R, John McGuinness edition. And now for something completely different. Also made by Honda, which just shows you what an incredible company they are, what an incredible motorcycle manufacturing behemoth Honda are, in that they made that bike, but they also made this, the Lady Dax. The ST70, I think that was meant to be street and trail ST. ST70 as it was known in the States, but towards the Dax. Hello, I'm Steve Berry. Welcome to Manor Park, the Northwest's only permanent classic car and bike auction specialists. We've got a lovely modern building here near Runcorn, just off the motorway network, bursting with desirable cars and motorcycles. And if you choose to sell with us, then all that appalling weather outside, well, that's outside. We're inside, where it's clean and modern and warm and lovely. And where we're having a sale this coming Friday of classic bikes. Cars on Saturday, bikes on Friday. Come down. I shouldn't say this because the boss might be watching. But what the heck? Come down, even if it's only for a day out. But even if you're not thinking of buying, register to bid, because I'll bet when you get here, you go, oh, look at that. I've got to have it. Register. Come down. It'll be a great day. If not, do it online. We've got some cracking bikes, but none perhaps more cracking than this. I nearly touched it then, and then I thought twice, because this is a motorcycle that's described as unused. We don't know if it's ever been started. It is a 2023 Honda CBR 1000 RRR. Yes, RRR. It's the customer race bike. So all of the absolute finest suspension, brakes, wheels, electronics on the CBR. 30th anniversary edition, 30 years of the CBR, and most importantly, one of only 30 John McGuinness limited edition bikes celebrating 100 starts at the greatest race in the world, of course, the Isle of Man TT. Lancashire's own John McGuinness, what a cracking bloke, as well as being one of the most successful TT racers of all times. On the Mount Rushmore, that's what they say on the internet, isn't it? Don't they? Who's on the Mount Rushmore? Who's on the TT Mount Rushmore? Joey, got to put Joey on there. Got to put Matt Pint on there. Got to put McGuinness on there. For me as well, Ian Hutchinson, but, you know, or Mike Elwood, or, I tell you what, let's leave that for another time. And instead, remind you that you could be the owner of this motorcycle for between £40,000 and £45,000. An unused example. There were only ever 30. They all look like this. It has, as I said, the best suspension, the best braking system, the best electronics, Honda's race-proven CBR 1000 RRR. A one-off opportunity for you, and the estimate, like I said, what a good-looking bike as well. The estimate, as I say, between £40,000 and £45,000. It's even got John's signature there on the tank. What an amazing opportunity to buy a beautiful motorcycle. My assertion that Honda are the greatest of all motorcycle manufacturers, and they have the greatest engineering in the automotive game. Mercedes, yeah. Honda, better for me. But they made this. Because they were bold and they were clever. They knew that there was a market for two-wheel powered vehicles that would appeal to non-motorcyclists. People who would never dream of going anywhere near a CBR, but they might buy this cutie. An ST70 as it would have been known in the United States. To us, the DAX, but not just any DAX. A lady DAX, a very rare lady DAX. So this is a 70cc, pressed steel. This is the thing, Honda made, well, they made a lot of little bikes, but principally for adults, they made the Monkey, the Gorilla, and the DAX. The other two, tube frames. This one, a pressed steel frame. And did you know that it was called the DAX because they reckoned that this made it look like a dachshund? That's it, a badger dog from Germany. That's what they thought it looked like. I think they've been on the circuit. You could buy this super rare Lady Dax for between £3,300 and £3,300 and £3,800. That's quite a wide estimate. So around £3,500 for a super rare example of just how clever Honda are when it comes to marketing, which is why are they still the biggest motorcycle manufacturer in the world? I think they are. Right, let's move over here to these dirt bikes. We've got that one, which is the 1986 Kawasaki KX80, part of a private collection, full rebuild, no expense spared, proper rip-snorting, water-cooled, two-stroke, part of a much-loved collection it was, and it is ready to ride. So that's like a teenager's bike, isn't it? That's like, well, maybe sort of 11, 12, 13-year-old, and 80 like that, back in the day. That one is ready to go. Like we say, a full rebuild, and the estimate is £1,500 to £2,000. Now, The all-terrain cycle. Look at this. 1983 Honda ATC 185. Is it a 185S? Yes, all-terrain cycle. That's what ATC stood for. Now, because of the internet, some of you will be thinking, those things were banned, Steve. Yes, they were, but not in the UK. They were banned in the United States of America because people used to run themselves over. They used to have handlebars in their hand and one wheel in front of them and forks and think, oh, I'm on a motorcycle. And then they'd run over their own legs with the back wheels. So they had to ban them. They were super popular. This is rare. It's coming from the States. Very original. It's just been looked after and it's not really been restored, this one. It's just a relatively low mileage, low use example of what are, and I have ridden them, a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun as long as you remember they've got back wheels on either side. What I did, there were mirrors on the one that I rode, and I put the mirrors so that I could see the back tyres to remind me. Because you sat here with your feet on pegs and handlebars, you think, I'm on a motorbike. Yeah, don't run your feet over with them back wheels. A lot of fun, unusual, rare in this country. 1983, think about that. Wow, over 40 years old. An ATC 185, lots of fun on three wheels. £2,500 to £3,000. They're collectible and it's rare. That could be yours. Then you can tell people in the pub when they go, weren't they banned? Not here. Over the pond in America. Right. Suzuki LT50. Wow. How many kids got the bug for a bit of the old off-road action on one of these? I've had a lot of fun riding these. They're great fun. You can hurt yourself. As I found out. But I have had a lot of fun. They're incredibly strong and durable. The LT50, a great fun quad. The owner says it starts, runs and rides. It's got some new plastics and a graphics kit on it and it's got good tyres. It's important that you have good tyres on these things. What a lot of fun they are. And you could be having all kinds of fun. And you could be, no, let's not say where it ended up when I had too much fun. But let's just say 1980 Suzuki LT50, £600 to £800 is the estimate on that one. Right, an RM50. Oof. Again, I would estimate that you would be about 5 or 6, 5, 6, 7 year old on one of these. I mean, if you're 6'4", you could buy it, put it on wires and suspend it from the, from the ceiling of your man cave and just look at it. Put it on a shelf. Or if you've got a lad or a lass who's minded to get aboard it, what a lot of fun to be had. Full rebuild. I think this one, what's this guy did? He bought all these little dirt bikes and he did them up. Part of a much loved collection. It is ready to ride. I'll tell you what, there can't be too many of these left. I think it's pretty damn rare. 1980. Wow. A long, long time ago. 1,500 to 2,000 on the 1980 RM50 Suzuki. As my dad would say. Yeah, Suzuki. He said wrongly, probably, but there you go. Right, we got another one, 1979. All right, so you see how it changed. So, yeah, they're both air-cooled. Little drum brake on the front. Yeah, that's all you need, really. They're not going to have that much in the way of power. These things are built to deliver a lot of fun and be very, very durable because the people that made them knew they'd just get crashed and crashed and crashed and smashed and trashed, and they just had to keep going. They had to take a licking and keep ticking. Part of a private collection, again, full rebuild on the engine, no expense spared. It's ready to go. 1,000 to 1,500 quid on that 79 RM50. Team green over here, a KX60. One owner from new, stunning and original. Runs and rides like new, freshly revived. I like that. Not restored, revived. Yeah, because look, it's got a lot of, it wears its years. What year is it? 99. Right, okay. Have I got the right one? Yeah, I have. 99. It's got a kickstart, water cooled. Yeah, we can see the advance from 20 years of advance. We've gone water cooled and we're 2 strokes here. Yeah, woof, that'd be a lot of fun. How old would you be for one of these? I reckon, what do you reckon, Fraser? About 7, 8 year old, one of these, sort of size of it. Mind you, you're a tall lad. I bet you were as tall as me now when you were 7 or 8 year old, weren't you? Yeah, £1,000 to 1,200 quid on that one. The 60. That seems to be the bargain for me so far. I'm looking at how substantially made these things are, and I'm realising that's why they survived. They're not like dirt bikes for grown-ups. It's not make everything super light. It's, hold on a minute, this is going to get crashed 20 times every single time Junior gets on it. Let's just make it really durable and really strong. And that's what they did. And that's why, what are we, 25 years old? That one's 25 years old. Still going, still ready to rock. That one, a QR50. First bike my lad rode one of these. Yeah, again, the Honda QR50. Great little bike, 4-stroke. Look at that, look at those little wheels. I think my lad rode one of these when he was about 3. Yeah, wife wasn't best pleased. It belonged to the son of a friend who was quite, I have to say, I remember this, who was quite tentative on it round the fields. My lad got on it. First thing he did, whiskey throttle, well, not whiskey throttle if you're 3 or 4, but, you know, Farley's Rust throttle, straight across Sunny D throttle, straight across the field. Well, not that because it's 4-stroke, but yeah, went flying off down at the bottom, got straight back on again. What a lot of fun. A Honda QR50. Wow. This guy rebuilt it. This is what he did. Isn't it funny? Look at this. It's got an all-new sticker kit on it and all that. Good tyres. 600 to 800 quid. New grips. Yeah. What a lot of fun. This is where somebody will start. Somebody will start on this. This will get sold. Someone, boy, girl, whatever, will get on it and they'll think, do you know what? It's more fun than riding a motorbike. Very few things in this life. And the last however many years have just proved that for me. Very little. Right, these things are dangerous. Don't ask me how I know. Yes, I crashed one and I broke my scaphoid. Because what you do is you go a bit nuts when you get one of these because you think, well, this, I mean, look at it. It's a proper little racer, this. This genuinely, this isn't just a fun bike. This is a race bike. It's a Blata, I like that, Blata. A Blata Elite 14J mini bike. Right, so as standard, this thing would have 2 horsepower. And don't give me that. Look, it's got a bloody steering damper on it. This is a race bike. Look at these tyres. Seriously, this is a serious piece of kit. As standard, it would have 2 horsepower. You're laughing. 2 horsepower would be fun. This thing's got 3.5 horsepower. It's an absolute flying machine. A race bike. You could tell people, oh yeah, I've got a race bike. Where'd you keep it? On my desk. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? For between 600 and 700 pounds is the estimate on the Blata. Right now, boys and girls, we've got a bit of a problem here because, as you'll know, here at Manor Park, the Northwest's only permanent bike and classic car auction site. We've got 2 people who do these jobs. We've got me, who does the bikes, and my friend and colleague, Mr. Paul Cowland, the big tall lump that does the cars. Now, for some reason, a car has made it into my bit. I'm not sure why, but clearly it's got 4 wheels. But what larks? I think, somebody said to me, yeah, because it's got a motorbike engine. And you're thinking, I bet it hasn't got a motorbike engine, Steve. But it's got one of those generator engines, hasn't it? Yes, it has. Look. Surely that's a oh, no, hold on a minute. I might have spoken too soon. I think it's got the fuel tank off one of them. Oh, no. It is. It's a generator engine. It's got the pull start down there. Yeah, this is the sort of motor that we've all gone on some sort of bonding session at work. Oh, we're all going karting. And you rock up and you think, this will be great. And they've all got these engines because they are completely indestructible. Clarkson and his pals went on a Toyota Hilux being indestructible. That Honda engine is indestructible, which is why they use them in things like this. It's a Wasp. And that's a 200cc engine. Roll over hoop, because you might roll it over. Oakwood Engineering Limited in the UK, they made this. It's got a single speed, clutchless transmission, rollover protection, rear disc brakes. Oh, right, yeah, cool. Right. So, if you've got a bit of land or access to a bit of rough land and you want some fun, you could be having a whole heap of fun. Again, I'm not sure why it's here. Because it's not a motorbike, but I am tempted at, I have to say, is it no reserve? No reserve. Wow, great, fantastic. Those are the two words we love to hear at Manor Park. No reserve. The Wasp rally car built by Redwood. Did I say Oakwood? I think I did. Redwood Engineering. Look them up. Because no reserve, I bet you'll find that these things are quite expensive when they were new. Don't run away, Fraser. Come here. We have the Suzuki, I think, which is over here. Ah, there it is. Yes. The Suzuki Address. With an admirable look once, look twice, think bike. That doesn't really scan, does it? Not really. But admirable sentiments. The Suzuki Address, yeah, the sort of thing that if you ever see footage of like Indonesia or somewhere like that, there's like literally millions of people screaming about on one of these. They are the workhorse of the developing world. It's not just about Honda when it comes to things like this in places like that. This is probably one of the all-time best-selling bikes in the world. And it is a bike. Look, it's got two wheels. You sit on it. Double shocks on the back. Low mileage. Starts, runs, rides. Current MOT, which is what you want to hear. And even though it's a 2008, it's a 125. If you need to commute, other than sort of teleportation, which hasn't been invented yet, this is the more stress-free, cheapest way to get you from A to B. Trust me. Nothing is less expensive than moving around using one of these. I know that because my dad used to go to work on something like that. We called them plaques, we called them chicken chasers back in the day, but now they are desirable and collectible. 1,000 to 1,200 quid, the 2008 Suzuki FL125 Address. Right, we're on to these, the big boys now. Right, so which one's first? The one in the corner, the RM125, which is there. 125cc, two-stroke, six-speed gearbox, new chain and sprockets, Dorner exhaust pipe, or is that Dormer? Dormer. Yeah, Dorner organised, or used to organise, MotoGP. That's a Dormer exhaust pipe. A complete and running example, part of a private collection, 1989, a nice example. It could be yours, but between £2,300 and £2,800. Remember, there is a buyer's premium to pay, and these guide prices are just that. They are guide prices. They are not necessarily what the bike will sell for on the day, but they're just there to give you some idea of how much we think they will sell for. 2017 KTM in the news, not for good reasons, because they've gone like wildly bankrupt, but once upon a time, not that long ago, they were the makers of just about the most desirable off-road bikes on planet Earth, like this one, a KTM 150 SX two-stroke motocross bike, great spec on this one, talon wheels, six-speed gearbox, Two-stroke, single-cylinder, liquid-cooled. It's in fantastic condition. It is in fantastic condition. And it's got a kickstart on it. So you can, you know, if you're tall enough. Oof. I'm not really. I'm not a short man, but I'm not the longest in the leg. But it has got a kickstart. And it is in really good condition. The estimate on this one, £3,000 to £3,500. The KTM 150 SX. Another Suzuki. This is a big one. This is the big one. The RM500. What a beast! It says on my description on here, because I just read, look how tiny that writing is. I'm 60. How do they think I can barely make it out? The RM500, it says no words are required, but I'm going to give you some. What a beast. Full rebuild on this one. No expense spared. A superb example. This is the fella that did those little mini bikes over there, but he also had this. The RM500 from the big bad old days of these air-cooled mad singles, the CR500, the Myco. Men's motorcycles. There, I said it. I was going to say that'll get me in trouble, but not around here. Most people are pretty cool with that sort of thing around here. That's what we like at Manor Park. We tell it like it is. Yamaha AG100. A rare field bike with 2 owners from new. Look at that. What's this? Look at that round here to stop you from like smashing the levers and breaking your hands and all that. I've never seen that. Somebody's made that. Or it would have been, hey, I'll tell you what though, there's like a little carrying rack. It reminds me, and then a big carrying rack on the back. This reminds me of the sort of thing that they'd have in somewhere like South Africa or Australia. You know, and because it's only Diddy, they don't want it, it's only 100. They don't want to use fuel because they'd be going camping or fishing or doing the sort of things that they do in those countries where their weather is, I was going to say more agreeable than it is here, but it gets hot, doesn't it? It gets too, I don't like it when it gets too hot. No, you could go off on a camping expedition on this. You got that rack there, you got a massive rack on the back. Off you go. Kickstart. Rare bike, AC100. Let's see if the rarity of this 2-stroke single is reflected in the price. No reserve. It's had a hard life, but it's ready for more because it was built right in the first place. We are seeing just how good these old Japanese bikes are, aren't we? You have to question whether something made in Britain, I take no pleasure in saying this, that had such a hard life would end up at that point in time. I mean, how old is it? 81, 40 odd years old. And it's just being sold as a usable bike. Not necessarily, you know, not something to put in shows and look at and polish, something to use at 40 odd years old, still rocking. Who'd have thought that in any sort of classic bike auction, we'd see stuff like this? But I have friends, and I'm not ashamed to call them friends, who love what I call wonky mopeds. They'll be watching this. Lads, I don't hold it against you. Most of them have got proper bikes, but they're obsessed with these things. I don't know what it is. Once you get into these, they get hold of you. A plaque. That's what we call them, because they're out of plastic. This one is an economy cub. Right, have I got these cubs the right way around, Fraser? They're both, right, they're both economy cubs. So we've got a 1988, yeah, which is this one. It's a C90. See, we had the C90 mainly in the UK, didn't we? Whereas in the States, where they sold so many of these, it's funny, isn't it? We think of America and we think of like massive cars and giant Harley-Davidson motorcycles and everything being big and like, but Honda sold a ton of Civics, Volkswagen sold a ton of Beetles, more than anywhere else in the world, and Honda sold a lot of Cubs, as they know them, in the United... I can't stop flexing that mudguard. Can't stop. They sold a ton of these, and you all know why. This one is estimated at 1,200 to 1,700 quid. Current V5, low mileage, mostly original, no advisories on its last MOT, 2 keys, and plenty of tread left on the tyres. The tyres last forever, I think. They just last the life of the motorcycle. Are they motorcycles? I think they are. The step through. So they're like the hybrid love child of the scooter and the motorbike, aren't they? But let's not hate them for that. Let's love them. There's one here as well next to it. That's an 88. This one is a 92. It says here, beautiful. Beautiful and iconic scooter. Iconic, yes. Beautiful, I'm not sure. But like I said, my pals love them. Look at these big dobber indicators on there. Look at them. They're original. The good thing about these is a lot of people just leave them as they are, the way Honda intended. And so they just work forever. Maintenance on one of these, do you know what the maintenance is? I'll tell you, Fraser, since you ask. You wave an oily rag in its general direction once every 6 months. That's it. My dad had one of these. I don't remember him ever having to do anything to it. He rode it through summer, winter, for at least a couple of years. He then came on one day on a Norton Commando, one of the greatest days of my life. But let me tell you, that Norton required not quite daily, but certainly weekly maintenance compared to the Honda, which just went and went and went and went. Truly iconic, a 1992 Honda C90, yours for between £2,000 and £2,500 of your English pounds. Let's move on to perhaps the inspiration, at least some of the inspiration for the Honda Cub. This Innocenti, see, spoken like an ex-editor of Scootering magazine, Innocenti Lambretta LD150. Only 4,000 examples of the LD150 were made. Yeah, that's because in Italy they had a 125. But it's funny, isn't it? You look at the history of vehicles, and perhaps people who don't read that much, not you lot that are watching this, you'll be dead into it and like a real sado like me and spend loads of time reading about it or watching old YouTube videos made by like the Shell Oils Film Archive team or something like that. And you'll know that legislation often played a big part in the nature and the construction of motor vehicles. The Italians would have had 125s because their laws dictated that it was cheaper to own a 125. We needed a bit more performance, so we wanted a 150. We even got 200s. I've had Italian scooter enthusiasts who've like devoted a big part of their life to it and have a collection saying there were never 200s. And I'm going, oh, we had 200s in the UK. What, you had 200s? Yeah, with disc brakes. And they're just like, look at me, disc brakes on a scooter. Yeah, Lambretta, get this, Lambretta had disc brakes on a scooter in 1964. Yeah, a disc brake in 64. And then I think Honda claimed they'd done it in the 80s. But Lambretta were gone by then, so there was nobody to tell them it wasn't them. Good job there's people like me around to keep things straight. Yeah, an LD150, not the sexiest, but boy oh boy, what an original machine this one is. How much? I'm thinking. The sexier ones from the 60s are getting big, big figures now. But this one, which I like just because it's so original, look at that. Number plates on the front. Low mileage, private collection. No, £3,000. About £3,000 we reckon, which is considerably cheaper than the sexier 60s ones with the headlight up on here instead of down there. But I like that. Look at this, all brass plated. Oh, look at that, beautiful. See, this is the thing about the Italians. This was a utility machine. But they couldn't help themselves making it stylish. Look at the design, look at that badge and that little peak there and the casting. It's all so beautifully done. If it's your cup of tea, that is a super original example of an LD. Like I say, £3,000 is the estimate. Fantic Trials, great little trials bike. Is it an 80? Yes, it's an 80. So would that be like a junior kickstart job? Ding, ding, ding. Fraser thinks I've lost my mind. That was Junior Kickstart, wasn't it? Peter Purvis, Junior Kickstart. He's shaking his head now. Yeah, a Fantic 80, 1980. The estimate is £800 to £1,000. Obviously, it's an air-cooled two-stroke monoshock. Oof, God, pretty advanced. These things were advanced, weren't they? The Fantic, proper job. Full engine rebuild this one has had. Pistons and bearings have been replaced. So running and riding, ready to go. The Fantic. 600 to £1,000 is the estimate. A Bultaco Sherpa. There's a legendary name. I always loved the Bultaco badge with the fist like that with the thumbs up. So cool. When I were a lad living in Bury, Lancashire, Jim Sandyford had his shop on Walmsley Road, facing Ian Anthony's, who were Porsche and Ferrari dealers. Grubby little town like Bury, and Bury born and bred, Bury by name, Bury by nature. Ferrari and Porsche dealer facing a Montesa dealer. They were expensive bikes, but he also used to get a load of these in. Because if you liked a Montesa, you'd probably like a Fantic and a Bultaco, the Bultaco Sherpa. Sammy Miller told me all about these. If you've not been to his museum in the New Forest, you should go. I hadn't been until this last year gone. It's fantastic. He's got 500 bikes in there, including these, because of course Sammy rode the Bultaco Sherpa back in the day. This is a bit before, oh, is it before his time? I don't know if it would be. 76. He came from trials, but I think he rode all for most of his career, his long career. 76 Sherpa, 350, oh, it's the big one. Previous restoration. It was on long-term display. Possibly it is museum, I don't know. Road registered. Ah, that's good. Runs and rides. Smooth running motor. Certified with the Bultaco Club UK. You can't say better than that, can you? Come on, if you're buying a Bultaco, you want it certified. You want certification. And you want that certification from the Bultaco Club UK. Well, it's got the lot and it's road registered. So it's got a lot going for it, this one. You could use that. You could have a lot of fun. If you want to get to a trail, you might have to ride on the road. So avoid having to buy a van or a trailer and all that hassle by getting one that's road registered for between £2,000 and £2,300. The 76 Bultaco Sherpa. Like, don't confuse it with a Sherpa van like my dad had. Don't confuse a Sherpa van with a Bultaco Sherpa. Could get in a lot of trouble. £2,000 to £2,500 is the estimate. Another Fantic, a TX250. This one, superb restoration, twin shock trials. So, you know, obviously you could have a go at twin shock trials riding. I took up trials in my mid-30s and started competing in like the novices and then the clubmans against fellas that have been doing it since they were yay high to a Fantic. I didn't do well, but I was very willing and people were really nice. I have to tell you, the nicest motorsport is trials. Of anything I've had to go at. I've had to go at all sorts of stuff. Stand racing, circuit racing, drag racing, saloon car racing, rallying, all sorts of stuff. The nicest people, the best people, I'll say it, are in trials. If you ever go at twin shock trials, you'll have a lot of fun. It'll happen at relatively low speed, so you probably won't die. And you look cool doing it. Look at that, what a cool looking bike. The Fantic TX250. The estimate is for between £2,000 and £2,500, which is not a lot for a fantastic bike that's had a full restoration. Look at the condition. 1981, 40 odd years old. Honda made trial bikes. TL125, Honda's first production trials bike. Yeah, it's funny. I was when trials was on telly, on the BBC, proper telly, back in the day, I was the commentator, you probably remember. I'd be stood like in some bit of Yorkshire going, "Welcome to Top Gear Motorsport, and today we're in Slatherswaite," or whatever they were always called something like that. Or we were in Belgium or Japan. Go figure. Now, of course, trials is dominated by the Spanish, isn't it? Like MotoGP. No, that's the Italians. Interesting. Mind you, when you had like Bultaco, Fantic, Osa, all of those people, Honda fancied a piece of it. And maybe that's why the Japanese got so good at trials. Just my theory. 1975, Honda's first production trials bike. It's a four-stroke, isn't it? It's a Honda. Ooh, yeah. So it starts, runs and rides. It's road registered. Really nice example. Lots of receipts for new parts. Lovely paint job. Beautiful paint job on this one. Just right to get all scratched up the first time you take it out and bin it. I had a Yamaha because I knew, I thought, when I trying trials, I thought, finally, because of course back in the day I couldn't afford a Montesa from Jim Sandyford's at Bury, beyond my purse or my dad's. So when I had some money, I thought, I'll get a Montesa, and they said, no, get a Japanese one. I said, why? They said, well, you're going to fall off a lot. And they were right. I did fall off a lot. 2,000 to £2,500. That seems to be a bargain to me. It's a lovely thing. Road registered. You could go down the pub on that. Look at it. Look how cool it is. People would think you were the what's it. I nearly swore then. Look at that. What a great looking... There was no reason to make it look that good, but they did. Fantastic. And cheap. £2,000 to £2,500. Kawasaki KE175. As the media would say, the mass media, a scrambler. They're still saying that, aren't they? The police are seeking 2 men on scrambler bikes. Like it's, what are they going to do? Go and chase him in their Morris Minor? It's like, come on, get with the programme. This is from the days of scramblers, really, isn't it? Although, obviously, we describe it as a motocross bike. £2,500 to £2,800 is the estimate. 175, it is a UK bike from new. It's from the first year of production of the KE175. Part of a collection, loads of receipts for all the wonderful new parts that have been fitted to it. Starts, runs and rides, easy starter, it says. Look at that, you got a rev counter and an odometer with 13,000 miles on it. Somebody's ridden this. Somebody's had a lot of fun on this little Kawasaki. And you could too, for between £2,300 and £2,800. 78 Kawasaki KE125. Here's a bit of a ledge. Look at this. Come on, the old MX125R. What a bike. Look at this, a big bike for a 125, isn't it? 1984, and looking very 1984, with its Heinz tomato soup, red livery, and its blue saddle. Nothing says 1984 more than one of these. And if you got it, and you don't buy a pair of either British Knights or Travel Fox high tops to ride it in, then you're no friend of mine. You can wear what you like. Preferably, you should wear motocross boots, obviously, because, you know, bad things can happen. But just wear like a padded jacket and high tops if you want, and a daft open face helmet. That's what people do, isn't it? They get an old bike like this and they say, right, I've got to wear what we wore back in the day. Yeah, but back in the day, we just wore trainers and like a daft cloth jacket, which if you came off, would end up just in tatters hanging off your body, like in an old cartoon where Daffy Duck blew himself up or something. His claws of Donald Duck, like there'd be an explosion, his claws would be hanging off him. That'd be you if you came off this wearing your paddock jacket. Yeah. So probably don't wear one. Hold on, no, a bit more expensive. 3,000 to 3,500. Look at it, absolutely superb. 125, 2-stroke single, of course. Starts first kick, fuel receipts, original owner's handbook. Yeah, this one's in great condition. Just the thing for somebody who wants to relive the mid-80s. Would you like to relive the mid-80s? I would. It was great. Triumph, 1961. 3TA. Did they write a song about this? I think somebody did. I seem to remember there being like one of those like rock and roll songs. You know, rock, 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 everybody. No wonder the Beatles blew all that away. It was a bit rubbish. They were much better. Oh, actually, what's making me think of this is that new Bob Dylan film that's out. Because the old Timothy Chalamet that's playing Dylan, he does a lot of motorbike riding in that film. I think a lot more than Bob Dylan did in I think, right, I know he's still alive and everything, Dylan, but I think he's like one of the greatest musicians of all time, but a bit of a poser. Yeah, don't seem to be a real motorcycle. But in the film, he's portrayed as like this hardcore biker on a machine very similar to this, with a groovy chick, possibly Joan Baez, or like whoever on the back. This one is 350 twin. Twin. Recent rebuild on that engine. Part of a private collection. Small amount of work to finish it off, it says here. Yeah, this is the lightweight, the first of the unit construction twin-cylinder motorcycles that Triumph made and stayed in production for a long time. It's in good, honest condition. Look at that. Shall we call that a nacelle? Because it's a good word and I like it, including a speedometer made by Smiths of London, England, once the largest manufacturer of watches and clocks in the world. And it's also got that, and it's also got that and that to tell you what amps you've got. Because you're thinking, you're riding along and you're thinking, oh, how many amps have I got? Well, there you go, tells you. What's the estimate on this one? £2,000 to £2,500, 1961 Triumph 3TA. The first, I was checking there, I thought, first unit construction, hold on a second. This is what they do so people don't get frightened. They make it look like it's still pre-unit. So it's sort of got the old look. Hey, look at that, it's got a gear indicator down there so you could just glance down and see which gear of the 4 available to you you might actually be in. And then there's something for neutral there. So you think, am I in neutral? Yeah, the indicator says, way off you go. Never mind what the indicator says. We'll see you in court. From one legendary motorcycle to another. The 1986 Suzuki GSXR750F, the first of the Fs. All parts are included, so the gubbins that you don't see are here, the fairing and whatnot. Fully original. Yeah, this is an original bike, isn't it? It just needs some love. Micron exhaust instead of the standard one, but still massive. Still great big whacking Micron size. Because you were paying, you thought, when it arrived in the post from whoever you bought it from in the small ads in Motorcycle News or whatever, you didn't want some piddling little thing. That would have looked daft. You wanted a great big whopper like that. So that people knew that you got an aftermarket pipe. All the documentation is there, supplied from a collection. Long time dry stored, you can tell that. There's very little corrosion. It just needs some love. Good tyres. Folks, let's do a bit of a pre-MOT check. Yeah, the forks are good. There's not a lot of wear there where you'd expect it to be. That's just muck. Look, it's just muck. It's not rot. This bike's been stored indoors. There's nothing worse than putting a bloody tarpaulin over one of these in a backyard in Bolton and leaving it there for, like, trust me, I know, leaving it there for 4 or 5 years. Oh, it's only been there a couple of years. Then you take the tarpaulin off. This one's been stored indoors. 86 Suzuki GSXR750F. Give it some love. Come on, £2,000 to £2,500 is the estimate. What a good, I tell you what, the variety here at Manor Park. Did I mention we're the Northwest's only permanent classic car and classic bike auction house? So if you bring your bike here, it's stored in here in this secure, modern, air-conditioned building. Instead of like a ramshackle old shed. Easy for me to say. Put my teeth in next time. A ramshackle old shed. No, a modern, air-conditioned building. Secure and nice. Where you can come to the sale, which is this Friday. Come down. I know it's on a Friday. Yeah, take the day off. Or, you know, ring in sick. I don't know. But come, it's great. A Moto Guzzi Ziglo. Fully rebuilt 4 years ago. This is a 110cc motorcycle, only a handful of miles since it was rebuilt. The vendor says that it runs and rides. It's an original machine. Previous MOTs and paperwork. Again, long time dry stored. This has just been kept as part of a collection. Inside, somebody would have looked at it every so often and thought, what a lovely thing that is. Let me have a look around the back. Has it got a UK registration? The fact that it's been MOT'd would tend to suggest yes. Yes, it is, of course. How would it have been MOT'd if it wasn't UK registered? Well, it is. Supplied with a Moto Guzzi handbook. Get this, the Moto Guzzi Ziglo is a lightweight 110cc two-stroke motorcycle known for its simple design and its popularity as an affordable commuter bike in post-war Italy. So a stylish alternative to a Vespa or a Lambretta. The Moto Guzzi Ziggler. Estimate 2,000, oh no, much cheaper. 1,000 to 1,200 quid. Wow. Hagen shocks as well, look at that. Twin Hagen shocks on it, the Ziggler. What a bargain. I think that's the bargain so far. Right. Ah, there it is. The unapproachable Norton. Allow me to approach it. I've been reading a lot about Norton lately. Old Pa Norton, James Lansdowne Norton, passed on early, didn't he? Had a horrible disease, but he created one of the legendary marks of motorcycling, and here is a 1930 16H. 500cc four-stroke single, a Druid front suspension system here. Look at that, look how complex it is. But it worked. It worked, and the reason we know it worked is because they kept winning the TT, didn't they? When there was a lot of competition. A lot of competition. 1924, get this, Fraser, 1924, there were 500,000 motorcycles on the road in the UK. 500,000 by 1924. 1894, there were a handful, no more than there are motorcycles in this room. 1924, there were 500,000, and great names, already great names. Brough Superior, BMW, Moto Guzzi, all within a couple of years just after 1920. Norton were well established by then, one of the oldest manufacturers in the world. And as I said, multiple winners of the TT races. The patina, or do we say patina? Patina or patina? Comment below in the comments when you put all that stuff about me rambling on about all sorts of inconsequential nonsense. When you just want to know the facts. Well, if you just want to know the facts, look up the 1930 Norton Model 16H. This stayed in production for ages because it was so good. Look at it, it's a big bike. It's registered as historic. Sturmey Archer gearbox there with the 500cc Norton engine and a 4-speed hand change for that gearbox. Single seat, you could pop like a, I'm not sure what they call them. It was one of those words that we don't use anymore because it might be disparaging to the lady folk about the pad that you put on the back for the missus. Or you may be female and wish to purchase this motorcycle yourself. We would be more than happy for you to do that. And we estimate that it will fetch between £8,000 and £8,300 for the 1930. The unapproachable Norton, one of the greatest names in motorcycling. 1930 Norton Model 16H. And it qualifies for the Banbury Run. I've done that. It's a lot of fun. It's one of those things, everybody gets together, you pool around the countryside on old bikes. If somebody breaks down, you stop and help them fix their bike, and that's all part of it. It's great fun. One of the longest running classic bike events in the world. And that's eligible for it. Right, let's go back over here now for the Benelli Leoncino, or 125. Is that racist? No. Italians are the same race as we are. And this is the Leoncino. I think that must mean the little lion. There's the little lion, which was the symbol of Benelli. Who are still making motorbikes now, except it's not them, it's some Chinese people. Let's not have a go at Chinese bikes, because then we are at risk of being like one of those old boys who went on and on about Japanese bikes and what rubbish they were. Jap crap? Oh, is it Jap crap? Oh, Jap crap, is it? Right, well, they just took over the motorcycle world, didn't they? So let's not have a go at modern Benelli, but to a lot of people, this is a real Benelli, Italian-made, beautiful motorcycle, previously restored from the 1950s. 1954. Look at that. What a cute little thing it is. 125cc. Lovely paintwork. Lovely paintwork. It says, it is. There's all sorts of stuff here. Good tyres. Supplied from a collector. It's got a V5 on it, so don't worry about registering it, whatever. It's already registered. It's British registered as a V5. 1954. Now, if you wanted a car from that era, talking big money, you want to buy that, we reckon, between 1,000 and 1,200 quid. For the 125, I'll say it again, Benelli Leoncino. Yeah. Sorry about that. Just enjoyed saying it. Look at this. Proper bike. The Francis Barnett Light Cruiser. The Light Cruiser. hold on. Woof, that's metal. I was going to say, probably because they've incorporated like glass fibre in it or something like that. No, this is all metal. And you know what? That's proper thick metal, that. So quite how it gets to be a light cruiser, I don't know. These little companies like Ariel and Francis Barnett had to compete with the big lads, with BSA, with Triumph, with Norton. And so they had to do things like fancy paint jobs like that and a green saddle to try and make their bike, because they couldn't have a new bike every few years like Norton or Triumph or BSA. So they just try and do something to make their bike stand out. So you've got all this swoopy bodywork, including that bit in the middle, which is they're kind of saying, look, you want to go to work, you wear a suit, right? We've covered up a lot of the oily bits, so you're not getting your lovely suit from Moss Bros, which you've got on the tick. It's not going to get covered in oil. You could ride it to work, and it'd be fun. And we painted it a groovy colour, because in 1958 that would have been groovy. Most things would have been black or grey. And you've got, what are we calling this green? It's not British racing green, is it? It's like Lincoln green, isn't it? Lincoln green. They said, do you know that Steve Berry? He's got that, have you seen his it's Lincoln green, his motorbike. It goes roaring up and down here. I don't know if you'd be roaring on this one, with it being a 171? 117? Make that bigger, 171. 30 years it was in production, that bike, which is either a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure, but 1,500 to 2,000, the 1958 Francis Barnett Light Cruiser 79. Moving swiftly on, the Honda FMX650. Big single. 650cc, 4-stroke single. Only 2,300 miles, one owner from new. It's in great condition. A supermoto motorcycle manufactured by Honda from 2003 to 2007 at Honda's Spanish factory. So what they mean is, Montesa made this. Think of it as a Montesa FMX 650. And then you'd think, what, between £2,500 and £3,000, Steve, for a European-built, single-cylinder, torquey, rorty, go on, pop a wheelie? Yeah, but with Honda design and the reliability and the durability that comes with that. It'll all together. It was made in Spain, like Yamaha with Belgada. Honda owned Montesa at the time. They supplied know-how. Montesa had that great heritage, which when you come to Manor Park, you can see that great heritage, because just down there, there's some Montesas from like 50 years ago. £2,500 to £3,000, 2006 Honda FMX 650 made by Montesa. KTM 890 Adventure. Superb mid-sized adventure bike. Mid-sized? Look at it. Look, I'm 5'10", and I've got heels on. Well, sort of. Mid-sized, yeah, because basically they're saying, look, the GS, the BMW GS, an iconic bike. A lot of my mates also like the Triumph Tiger, getting up over 1,200 cc's towards 1,300 cc's. At 890, this one is considered to be mid-size, and because it's a KTM, is it actually lighter? I was going to say it's lighter and it's sportier, but I'm not sure that I would be right in saying that. But what I am sure is that if I do, you lot will have a go at me in the comments. Quite rightly, do feel free to put me right when I get out of my depth and say all sorts of things that are incorrect about these bikes. Not that I need to encourage you to do that, but there you go. Yeah, so an 890, you know what that is, 6-speed gearbox, 4-stroke parallel twin. It's got heated grips and a quick shifter. It's got cruise control. It is a superb mid-sized adventure bike, and it does seem very cheap, with the estimate between £5,800 and £6,300. It's in fantastic condition. It's like a brand new bike. Cheap as well. 2022, mind you, not surprised it's like, I was going to say, not surprised it's like a brand new bike. It's in 2022. I've had bikes that have looked great 1 minute, and then as they cartwheel through the gravel trap, or we tried to extricate them from the arm cord that they'd become welded to after a modest incident, didn't look quite so good. That's a great bike, and that is cheap at the price. Bit of a legend next. I love it. Look at this. Fantastic. You just want to get on this bike. Look at that. It's a bit of me, this, as they say. I hate it when people say that. Like when they say, you can't park here. It's a bit of me. I do like it, though. It's lovely. A Francis Barnett Merlin 125. Twin port, girder forks, part of a lifelong retirement collection. Hand shift here, down there. You've got to sort of, I would imagine you have to sort of, when you want to change gear, you've got to like cut your leg out here. What else can we tell you about this? Period tyres. Oof. Starts with ease. Yeah, good. Excellent. Runs and rides great. A Villiers proprietary engine, 125cc, twin port, 2-stroke. So quite a sporty little thing back in its day. Like an RD125, but from the 1940s. Fantastic. It looks great, doesn't it? Love it. This is the sort of thing that you'd go to a steam fair on, isn't it? You know, there'd be a steam fair near you, and you'd say, yeah, I'm just off to the steam fair on the old Fanny B. You'd be off down the road, you'd rock up, they'd go, park over there next to Fred Dibner's old traction engine. You could see, well, Fred had an AJS. I used to see him. I used to see Fred out on his AJS. And I studied very close to his famous house in Bolton. I used to see him out on his AGS, but I could see him a bit small for him, that. Maybe as a younger man. I like it. Look at that, I'm like cuddling it. It's a very cuddly bike. 1948, Francis Barnett, Merlin 125. 2,000 to £2,500 for a bit of history, that. Yeah. You think if it was one of the big three, BSA Norton Triumph, it would be more. Because it's Francis Barnett, it's less, but obviously, as the buyer, you benefit £2,000 to £2,500 on that one. Bit of a legend. Not me. I'll do that gag again. It won't be funny this time either. But seriously, a legend. The BMW R100RS. The definitive 1980s touring motorcycle. There, I've said it. This is what a touring bike used to look like, isn't it? Well, yeah. Now, people prefer an adventure bike for touring. So adventure bikes seem to have become the touring bikes of the 21st century. But back in the day, that day being 1987, it didn't get better than this. It's a 980cc 4-stroke flat twin, of course. The Boxer twin, that's never made sense. Boxer, they punch in different directions. You'll notice that when a boxer is boxing, they punch in one direction. The bloke in front of them, they don't like punch forward and back at the same time. Never made sense. But a brilliant engine. Been in manufacture since the 1920s, the Boxer twin. And this was one of its finest moments. Just at an MOT, it's got the panniers. It's got the panniers. Oh yeah, of course it's got the panniers. 5-speed gearbox. Has it got heated grips? You don't need heated grips. Look at this fairing. Right, let's see what mileage is on this. A lot, I would imagine, because that's what people use these for. 47,000. Look how easily it wears those miles. Built right when it was new in 1987. A lovely example and a great colour. The R1000RS from 1987. The estimate on this one, like I said, just under 50,000 miles on it. And it's what now? Nearly 40-year-old. So it's nothing really, is it? 4,000 to £4,300. We talk about classic bikes. This is a classic. Some bikes are old. Most old bikes are just old. Some old bikes are classics. That's a classic. Bona fide classic. And this isn't. The Honda Deauville, cruelly dubbed the Deauville by Performance Bikes magazine back in the day. Do you know why? Because it delivered hassle-free, utterly reliable, economical transportation. And because of that, they had a go at it, because that was their shtick, wasn't it, back in the day? When it was like Mark Forsyth and Rupert Paul and Simon and all the nutcases, Ronnie Smith and all them lot, Gus Scott, selling 130,000 copies a month of a motorbike magazine. Not that long ago. Not that long ago. 2007, Deauville NT 700V. I had the NVT 650, the one that came before this, and I just had it as like a winter hack, and it was perfect. It was great. I could leave it for months, it'd just fire up, it went, it didn't use any oil, it never broke down, nothing fell off, except me. It was great. I didn't fall off that. That was just a joke. Not a good one, but it was a joke. So you've got the built-in panniers on the back, which was part of the Deauville, and there was the Honda PC at the same time, the Pacific Coast that had the built-in panniers. It's a good, honest bike. You could go touring on it right now. It's not exactly a looker, but that is reflected. I think it's big miles as well, but on these, it don't really mean anything. I mean, that NVT that I had, the 650, had done mega miles, and these things do that for fun. Oh, it's digital, right. So, 6-speed, shaft drive, 1,300 to 1,800. Good bikes for what they do, which is, you know, commute, go on a touring holiday. Track day, I remember Mark Forsyth, we just mentioned him, my predecessor at the old BB Top Gear. Yeah, they had him on before me, doing bikes, I think. I'm pretty sure they did. In fact, I know they did. I don't know why I said that. I know they did. I remember his dad rocking up to a track day at Three Sisters, not so far from here, in the northwest at a circuit. Kart circuit, really, Three Sisters, but a big kart circuit. On one of these, and he was decking everything. Mark's dad, not Mark, he was decking everything. On all the corners. He was quick on one of these. The apple doesn't fall that far from the tree. The Honda ST1100, we're talking with the BMW. That's what touring bikes used to look like. And the Pan, the ST1100, Pan-European, very much based on the BMW, but with added Honda. Like a BMW, but with added Honda. The cops used these, didn't they? Why did the cops use these? Because they were so good. They'd do mega miles, they didn't break, they were quick, reliable, comfortable. My pal's just bought one. One like this. I think he just saw it locally and it was cheap and he remembered how good they were from back in the day, so he's bought it. And like he's got 7 or 8 bikes, some very nice stuff, a newish Triumph retro thing. He said, Steve, I can't stop riding that Honda, that Pan-European. It's such a good bike. I said, I know, they are great. It's a really great bike. 2,000 to 2,500 is the estimate on this one. 1999, it's 25-year-old. 25 years old. 1100cc, a V4, obviously legendary V4. Factory panniers, colour-coded top box, 5-speed, off you go. You want to set off from here now and you wanted to be in Milan for tea time with the lady missus on the back, you cannot do better than one of these. The Honda Pan-European. It will go across Europe in a way that is painless. And I know we all love adventure bikes for touring these days, but I reckon these are still better and more comfortable for like a 600, 700 mile day on the autoroutes, on the toll roads in Europe than any adventure bike. They're so comfortable. They're so good at what they were designed for and they did it so well. £2,000 to £2,500. That's a classic bike. It is a classic. It's the definitive example of its time from that period. £2,000 to £2,500. Oh, I like this. Look at that. An MZ ES250 Trophy. with the crazy Dan Dare pilot of the future, / Jetsons, / what else? I don't know what else. Return to the Forbidden Planet. Look at that yellow headlamp. How cool is that? What's all that about? What were they thinking? I'll tell you what they were thinking. They were thinking communist stuff. That's what they were thinking. And they thought differently to the rest of us. Like, I had one of those Jawas made in Czechoslovakia under communism, and that was the one that had a gear changer that was also the kickstart. They thought differently, especially when it came to styling. Look at the styling on this, it's nuts. This is the two-wheeled equivalent of, like, I was going to say a Trabant. That would be wrong and cruel, because do you know what Trabant didn't ever do? The people who made those wacky cars made out of papier-mâché, they didn't win world championships, and MZ absolutely did that. Look at that there, international 6-day trial, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 69, MZ. 250cc, this one's been fitted with a McGuinness carb to make it go better, just like we all put McGuinness carbs on our Lambrettas to make them go better. There's one of those on this. It's got it's got 12 volt. Wow, 12 volts this one's now got. This is like one of those Singer Porsches that like Joe Rogan pays like $2 million for, because it's all been like retro modded with 12 volt lighting and like Japanese carburation and all that sort of stuff so that it works. A front brake conversion to have a twin leading shoe, because the thing was, if you were riding this back in the days of communism, the car in front of you was like a Lada or a Wartburg. So it was, the brakes on that were terrible. So he was stopping not very well and you were stopping not very well behind him. So it didn't matter. But if you were riding this over here, as you would be, because yes, it is, it's got like a private plate on it, RCE 5J. I can't say enough good things about this. I think it's great. Stand out in the crowd. Be an individual. Get a greatcoat and a German helmet. Can you imagine? And get this MZ ES250 Trophy, a lovely bike with the Super 5 motor. Like I say, 12 volt, upgraded 12 volt lighting, upgraded carburetor. It runs great. It's a superb example. British registered, great number plate on it. All sorts of like period accessories. And you could be this different, for between £2,000 and £2,500. The 1971, just think what everybody else was building in 71. It didn't look anything like this, did it? A 1971 MZ ES250 Trophy. Variety. I'll say it again. And I don't mean anything to do with Sunshine Buses or Morecambe and Wise or Norman Wisdom, who was a biker. I met him a few times. I wouldn't say I know him, but I met him a few times. And every time I met him, he thought it was the first time. Lovely fella, loved his motorbikes. Went to live on the Isle of Man because he loved motorcycling. Norman. No, I mean variety with the bikes that we have here at Manor Park Classics. Like this Honda. An NT 1100. 1100? Yeah, the NT 1100 with the Voyage pack. Now, if you know this bike, you'll know that it is one of the 21st century versions of a touring bike. So it's kind of halfway or 2/3 of the way to being an adventure bike, but with some of the rough edges taken off. So you really have got that continent crushing, mile munching, distance destroying comfort. This is the bike if you want to go places. And even though it's a couple of years old, it's done 40,000 miles already because it belonged to a senior motorcycle instructor. He used it on the job, so obviously it hasn't been abused. The service history is immaculate. One owner, 40,000 miles from new in a couple of years. Not many bikes in here that can say that. Not many bikes with 40,000 miles on them, never mind in a couple of years. The full Voyage pack, the top box, the side panniers, the tank bag, everything that goes with that. It's got Apple Android CarPlay, fully loaded, full service history. As I say, 2 keys. We've got the owner's book and the V5. Could be yours for between £6,500 and £7,000. 2022 Honda NT1100. Look at this big, what a big bike. Look at this one. I can't resist, I've got to get on. Can I get on? Is it a good idea? Is the whole thing gonna topple over? Send it to You've Been Framed. Is You've Been Framed still on, Fraser? Did he still give you 250 quid? No. I don't think I've watched television since, I think the last thing I watched on telly was The Sopranos. That was a while ago, wasn't it? I've been busy, I've got things to do. Wow, you'd have things to do if you had a bike like this, wouldn't you? The BMW K1600 CTL, a 6-cylinder touring bike. 1649, it says it's 1600, it's actually 1650, 4-stroke, inline, 6-cylinder motorcycle with a 6-speed manual gearbox, 160 of your brake horsepowers. It has fully colour-coded, fully, easy for me to say. I'll try that again, I'll put my teeth right. Fully colour-coded luggage. There you go, fully colour-coded. It's got a great audio system. The present owner is moving overseas, which is the only reason he's getting rid of it. It's done 32,000 miles since 2013. And this is, I've just said that Honda was the ultimate mile muncher. But I think it might be this. As long as you stick to the smooth stuff, this is a big, big bike. I was going to say it's like BMW's version of the Goldwing, but really the Goldwing was a bike inspired by BMW. I think Honda and BMW have both inspired each other at various times down the decade. If you're looking at this, you know what you're looking at. As we say, 30,000 miles, just more than, a bit more than that. In 6 years, the estimate, what a lot of motorcycle for the money. The estimate is £7,000 to £7,500 for the BMW K1600 CTL. Right, let's see if I can extricate myself from it. God, what a big bike. Right, and where do we go next? This one, Suzuki RM125. It's just arrived here at Manor Park. It says description coming soon. Well, it's a Suzuki RM125. As you can see, it looks like, because it's a 2004, so it's a 20-year-old bike. Wow, this bike's 20 years old. But look at the condition. It's obviously had a full recent restoration. Brand new tyres, look like new hubs. The plastics have been refurbished. It's got a sticker kit. It's got a new seat cover on it. That pipe doesn't look like it's ever really been in any sort of use. All of this is mint and immaculate. So, yeah, a 20-year-old Suzuki RM125 full-on crosser. And the estimate on that one is between £4,500 and £5,000. It ain't a motorcycle, baby. It's a chopper. Look at this one. Look at the size of my chopper. The 1976. Right, now, obviously, this bike wasn't built in 1976. However, part of the frame, I would imagine, with a number on it, was made in 1976. And so, therefore, the people who built this bike with enormous amounts of passion and difficulty and expense, enormous amounts of expense, have decided that this is a 1976 Harley-Davidson chopper. One-off custom build. It's got a 2-litre V-twin. What is it, an S&S 2-litre V-twin, more than likely? Oh, Ultima, right, okay. It's got a 5-speed gearbox. It's tax and MOT exempt because it's 1976. That's handy, isn't it? It doesn't. You think, oh, does it? What about the MOT? What about that number plate? And what about that backlight? It doesn't need an MOT. It's a 1976 motorbike. That is pretty cool. It started life, and it was registered then. The engine's taken out to 2 litres, Vance & 9 exhaust. What else has it got? Right, so the custom paintwork was hand brushed by Surrey Customs and is called Jesse James. The bike has covered approximately 15 miles after it was built. Again, I'm looking at it. Back in the day, I made, how many TV series? 3 series about custom bike builders for Discovery and folk like that. And I met these guys. This looks like a Battistini's bike. They were well thought of back in the day. It reminds me of the sort of bikes that they built. And they were charging people 50, 60, 75,000 quid for a bike. It looks not unlike those motorcycles. Just principally because, not just because of the cost of the parts, but the labour. There's so much labour. Anyone who's actually built a bike from scratch, not restored a bike, there's a lot of work in restoring a bike properly. There's quite a lot of work in just renovating or reviving a bike. Building a bike from scratch like this is a huge undertaking. It takes many, many hours, and somebody needs to get paid a lot of money. But you could nab with this one for between £12,000 and £14,000, and that would be an absolute bargain. Now, this is more my speed. Look at this one. Why do I like these little bikes so much? They remind me of like little dogs. I like little dogs as well. I used to have a black pug. I miss him. Died a few years ago. That's the problem with dogs, isn't it? Get a motorbike instead. They'll last longer than you will. This is a Peugeot P55. A rare, restored machine. Yeah. All right. Okay, it's been restored. Right. 1962. It's a 125. It is imported from France, and we have the papers, so you can get a V5, a V5C for your motocycle. I'm alternating between various European languages because I'm from Bury, and you know, we don't go in for any of this fancy foreign lingo. I like the handlebars, like a swan neck type design, aren't they? With these lovely sort of groovy tan twist grips. Look at that. I've had one of them right in the back of me. And you realise why they put a ball on it when you've had that much of it. The doctor who plucked it out of me, yeah, he said to me, there's only 3 places in the human body where you can have that much metal in you without it doing a load of damage. But that's a story for another day. I'll just tell you that the estimate on this 1962 Peugeot P55 is £1,300 to £1,800. And like we say, it's EU registered. We've got all the paperwork for you. Look at that fender on a 125. It's almost Art Deco, isn't it? Lovely. The French. Great country, not sure about the people. I'm only kidding. I love France. La belle France. And they've made some cracking bikes. Peugeot at one time were the world's largest motorcycle manufacturer. Not many people know that, but now you do. It looks like a Harley. It sounds like a Harley. It smells like a Harley. It's not a Harley. It's a Yamaha XV1600 Wildstar. So this is the bike that was kind of, wow, this really looks like a Harley, doesn't it? With the sort of pushrod tunnels there, this big concho encrusted. That's not a seat, it's a saddle, isn't it? I mean, if you're going to have a Harley cruiser type bike, look at this on the back. Let's see what it says on this badge. Live to ride, ride to live, highway hawk. You're a highway, you could be a highway hawk. It's funny, we were coming out of the Viper rooms in Los Angeles. You know where River Phoenix came to an untimely end? Johnny Depp's place. We were coming out of there and a bloke rode past us on a bike like this with like open pipes. and it was the middle of the night, and he was wearing a leather waistcoat, leather trousers, a bandana and sunglasses at midnight or whatever it was. And a mate of mine said, wow, cool. And I said, yeah, but he'd look a right in Burnley. Don't spend a ton of money on a big mad Harley. Have you seen how much they are these days? Instead, come here on Friday to our sale or get online, register to bid. Don't come to the sale and not register. If you're only coming for a day out, at least register, because you never know. You might see something like this, you might fancy it, and if you haven't registered, you can't bid. So, instead of spending, a CVO Harley's what now, 50k? Upwards of 50 grand. You can spend £50,000 on a big performance Harley Davidson. Will it look like any more motorcycle than this? Will it sound? Will it ride? Not really. It's just a name, isn't it? Look how much motorbike you're getting here for between a laughable £3,750 and £4,250. 5-speed manual, belt drive, maintenance-free belt drive, recent new battery, full running order, fantastic condition. You could be a highway hawk very cheaply. When someone at work or the pub or whatever says, is that Harley? Just say yeah. They won't know. Because it doesn't say it's not anywhere. Look for the word Yamaha on this motorbike. You won't find it. And there's a reason for that. We talked about Ariel and Francis Barnett. And here's another of those low volume British manufacturers. Yes, I know, calm down. Royal Enfield, although of course, this is a Royal Enfield made in India, not London. Royal Enfield were in London, weren't they? I think so. Well, they were British anyway, weren't they? And they built this venerable motorcycle for many years. However, for considerably more years, for decades in fact, it has been manufactured in India to the extent that I watched a very interesting documentary about how in India, this bike is like a whole way of life. Forget your Harley Davidsons for the way of life. In India, people love the Royal Enfield Bullet. They've written songs about it, they've written books about it, they've made films about it. They love the Bullet. There are retro bikes, and you can buy them from Norton, Triumph. Everybody makes a retro bike these days that looks like this. But this is the real thing. This is a bike from back in the day that's still being made today. This one's a 2007. Really? Wow. Fantastic condition. It's the Electra X, which I would imagine indicates that it's got electric start. Yes, it does. A Bullet with electric start, and it's a 500 as well. A low mileage modern classic. Look at it. Looks great, doesn't it? Estimate, £1,500 to £2,000. Wow. 500cc, air-cooled twin, 5-speed manual, electric start. It's the Electra, it's got electric start. Because you might be at a point, see the thing is, you might be at a point in your biking life where something that's a bit more lightweight like this is more realistic than a whacking great big bike. But, so it's got electric start as well. But it's not retro, it's been in continuous production. This bike's never gone out of production in like 60 years. It's still around, great example. Cracking colour as well. But I also like this one, the classic 350. Yeah, that's 500 single seat, 350 2 seats. That doesn't make sense. Look at the condition of this, it's hardly been used. 2023, right, that's why. A lovely bike with very low miles, like new. What's it done, this one? It doesn't say, and it's digitalis on here, so we can't see what miles it's done. I'm going to guess a handful. There's not a scratch, there's not a mark. There's not even any dirt on it. It's got all the stuff back here to hold on to and to put some throw over panniers if you haven't got a passenger. metallic green flake and part of a lifelong retirement collection. £2,500 to £3,000. Bargain. Brand new bike that. For £2,500 to £3,000, the 2023 Royal Enfield Classic 350. 72 Bonneville. A late Bonneville. 72. Part of a private collection. 650cc 4-stroke twin, but then you knew that. A beautiful restoration. It starts, runs and rides. It looks great. Bit different, this colour scheme, but I like it. It stands out. MOT and tax exempt because it's a 1972. As you say, it starts, runs and rides. I was going to say, it doesn't say there's an MOT. I've just told you it's MOT exempt. Why would there be an MOT? You don't need one. 72, wow. So it's 53 years old. Good Lord. Really? Look at the condition, it's fantastic. And the estimate, 5,200 to 5,700. The 72 Triumph T120 of Bonneville. A Trident, is it? Yes. Yes. Triumph's delayed, too late to the party, competitor for the big 4-cylinder Japanese motorcycles, the Trident T150 in purple. Other British-built things at the time that were purple would have included things like a Triumph Stag or my dad's mate Tony's TR6. TR6? Yeah, what a car. That was purple. Oh, and my friend Vito's dad's Escort Gear with a vinyl roof and chromium hubcaps on a wood dashboard and an FM AM cassette player. Yeah, purple things were cool in 1972 and I reckon they're cool in 2025. Look at this bad boy. 3 cylinders, Triumph are still rocking that. That is their signature engine style, isn't it? 3 cylinders, a triple, the triple Triumph, still making them today. So it's got a 3-cylinder, 4-speed gearbox. This one has a matching frame and engine numbers. We've got some of the old MOTs. It starts, runs and rides. Being of the same vintage as that Bonneville, 1972, it doesn't need an MOT or tax. It is ready to ride, and the estimate is a modest £6,500 to £7,000. 72 Triumph T150 Trident. From Trident to Triton, we're staying with the sort of mythological watery theme with the Triton. Was Triton the god himself, or was it? Yeah, the Trident was his, like, weapon. Your man Jason Momoa, he rocks one of them, doesn't he? A Trident. But Triton was the god of the what's-it depths. However, the name, of course, comes from the amalgamation of, it's a portmanteau word. Yeah. Grammar school education, Fraser. Can't beat it. Well, you can, obviously, or else I won't be doing this. Portmanteau, you put 2 words together, Triumph and Norton, to create Triton. The best bits of the Triumph, the best bits of the Norton. A beautiful machine. This is the 110 650cc, road registered. Yep, with a pretty cool registration number on the back there. I love this seat with somebody's gone to the trouble of having Triton printed onto there or painted onto there. Wow, this bike is clean and has a lot Hagen shocks, which is kind of the gold standard for this sort of bike. I like that's very weirdly, that might be John Tickle. There's a fellow called John Tickle who made specialist parts for Triton, and of course there was Dave Deegans at Dresden who made a lot of Triton stuff. I know Dave, a gifted raconteur with a lot of stories to tell about what the lads got up to back in the day. But things like the dampers, caps, the oil tank, various bracketry, it's all beautifully done. I don't think, gifted though Fraser is with the old camera, I don't think you guys are going to be able to see the quality of the componentry. I've seen a lot of this one-off stuff that's been fabbed up, and it's okay. But this is a cut above. It really is. Again, another reason why, if you were serious about buying something like this, and you possibly can, I know some of you are like scattered across to the four corners of the world watching this on the interweb, but if you can get to Runcorn in Cheshire, in the northwest of England, live for the auction, so much better. You'd be able to agree with me that this bike is made of high-class componentry that has been beautifully put together. The guesstimate on this one is it's £4,000 to £4,500 on the 62 going off the frame, obviously. 1962 Triton T110. Truly beautiful machine. Speaking of truly beautiful machines, another one that I just want to sit on. I'm going to resist the urge this time. It's a Fizzy. Come on, lads, it's a Fizzy. Unrestored, matching numbers, original low mileage bike. Now, you see Fizzies going, low mileage, 15,000 miles, but made in 1973, so over 50 years ago. So 15,000 ain't that much. The FS1E, of course, 50cc, but it's not a moped version. We're at pedals. There are no pedals on this one. This is the motorbike version. Right, there's a reason for that. It was American originally. Right, interesting. So, because it's American, it hasn't got pedals. We, of course, would have had pedals, making it a moped, although I'm sure the motorbike variant was available over here. He said confidently, that might not be right. £3,000 to £3,500 on the Yankee Fizzy. Low mileage, good tyres, original machine, runs and rides great. £3,000 to £3,500. 73 on the Yamaha FS1E. RD80. 80. Great little bike. Two-stroke single-cylinder, matching frame and engine numbers. The paint's lovely on this one. It's had a life. What's it done? Very low mileage. Right, so that's it. So the clock's in kilometres. So is this an import? Or did it just have a kilometre clock with a sticker on it? Do you remember they used to put stickers on the clocks and go, yeah, there, your clock's illegal now. We put a sticker on it. So that's done 5,000 kilometres, which is what, sort of 4,200 or thereabouts? About that? Bit less? Oh, considerably less, isn't it? No, 80's 50. Work it out from that. So 5,000 kilometres. Work it out from that. RD80, lovely bike. 1,750 to 2,250 is the estimate on that one from 1981, the Yamaha RD80. Look at this. What a stylish machine. We were talking about this the other day because a mate of mine was saying he's a Suzuki man. He said, at heart, I am a Suzuki man when it comes to Japanese bikes. And I think most British motorcyclists of a certain age, if they've got a thing for the Japanese bikes, they've got a loyalty to one of the four brands. Some people are Kawasaki people. Some people, like my pal, are Suzuki men. Some love Honda, and I love Honda, mainly for the engineering and the innovation. But at heart, I am a Yamaha man because, I've said this before, back in the day when I was 10 years old, my dad came home on a yellow, Daytona yellow with the black and white speed blocks RD400. And since then I've owned many Yamahas, and if I had to choose, or I had to mention it, I am a Yamaha man, and I love this bike. It's a Yamaha CS3C. 200 cc's, two-cylinder, two-stroke, starts, runs and rides the predecessor of the RD200. Pardon me. A credit to the owner. Great colour, great condition. Look at that high-level bike. It's sporty, isn't it? Look at this. Look how cool that is. It's just great, isn't it? All that is a side panel there just to cover up some gubbins. But it's got a speed stripe there. It's got this vibrant green paint. 200 and a bit of a checkered flag to prove what a badass you are. Obviously, that checker would go on the RD250, the RD400, and electric. Yeah, we've got electric ignition. No points on this one. I love it. What a cool little bike that is. What are them bags on the shocks? They're a bit odd, aren't they? Oh, yeah, the springs are under there. Love it. 2,300 to 2,800. 1970 Yamaha CS3C. Ah, here we go. We're in business now. RD250. UK spec bike in lovely, excellent condition. We've got the V5 with it. It's MOT exempt, original blue bike, fully restored. The motor runs beautifully. Iconic Kenny Roberts paint. Well, why isn't it Kenny Roberts yellow, lads? Somebody's put down here. People say, oh yeah, the blue bikes are Kenny Roberts as well. All right, okay. I just think of, when I think of Kenny Roberts, I think of yellow with the black and white checkered flag speed blocks, whatever you want to call them. The 250, not as loved as the 400, but that's why you might get a bargain. It's a good example. It's not the greatest example, but it is a good example. You could ride it. Look at that. There's no like rips in the seat or horrible dings in the tank or anything like that. There's some wear on the engine and it needs a clean up. Polish that blinking chrome, for goodness sake. Spend a couple of, not weekends, because you want to be riding it then. Get in the garage, get in the shed, get in the man cave or the workshop, give it a lovely polish, get some tunes on the what's it, get the kettle on, get the lads round. That's what it's all about, isn't it? And then at the weekend, get out on it. Yours for much more affordable than a 400. We had a 400 at the last sale and the price went a bit nuts. This could be yours, we reckon, the less loved 250, but not by me because I think they're great. 3,000 to 3,500. Look at this. Wow, we have got an embarrassment of riches when it comes to these classic Japanese bikes. You know, not so long ago, a sale like this, well, you know what a sale like this would have been full of. It would have been full of Nortons and BSAs and Matchlesses and Royal Enfields. And we've got those bikes, but reflecting the modern interest and the modern market for classics, it's kind of all about, not all about the Japanese, but it's mainly about the Japanese stuff. And that's because what we grew up with. I'm 60. I think we've mentioned this before. I know I don't look it, but I am. 1964, end of May, since you're asking. I'm 11 days... Am I 11 days older or younger than Brad Pitt? It's one of them two, but there's 11 days between. You wouldn't think, would you? We grew up with Japanese bikes. And this is a it's older than me? No, oh, just 1965 Yamaha. Ah, this is a special machine. The YM1. This is a Big Bear special. Now, I've been over Big Bear on a Ducati. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, is that slang for some sort of practice that you don't want to be describing on one of these videos, Steve? No, Big Bear is a ski resort in California. So when I rode a Ducati that I bought from a bloke in an IKEA car park in Burbank, I had to ride it back to Palm Desert in the desert where my missus lives. And I had to go over Big Bear, which is higher than anywhere in Europe. And I was wearing loafers and a waxed cotton jacket, sunglasses and an open face helmet. And it was bloody cold. And I'm from Bury. What a good looking machine. Look at that. They really knew what they were doing, didn't they? We'd gone to America with bikes that looked like this. Two-tone paintwork, chrome, polished, light alloy, high-level sporty pipes, even dual colours on the saddle. The Japanese copied this off us, Triumph, Norton, BSA. They built bikes that looked like this, sexy. They looked glitzy for the American market. The Japanese combined those looks with reliability, with an oil-tight engine that would hold together much better than the stuff that we were sending that was more developed. We held back on development. There are all sorts of reasons for that. A lot of it's to do with British business law and how much you can put back into a business and how much you have to pay your shareholders. The Japanese had a big advantage there. Didn't have to pay their shareholders. They could put all the money back into development, into developing new machines, into refining existing machinery. But look at this. What a great looking bike. 305cc, 2-cylinder, 2-stroke, one previous owner. One-owner bike! 1965, it's a one-owner bike. It's been around nearly as long as me and it's had one owner. I've had considerably more than one owner. Oh, yeah. The price, £4,000 to £4,500, seems very... It's a big bike to say it's a twin. I was going to say, to say it's a single cylinder, and then I'm looking down and I'm seeing those two exhaust pipes. Now, I've been caught out like this before, where I've seen two exhaust pipes, but it's been a single cylinder motorcycle. I thought, this can't be a single, it's too big, it's too long and heavy. It's not, it's a twin. It's a 305cc twin cylinder 2-stroke. Fantastic. Look at the clock, Fraser, can you show people? Just come in and look at the size of that clock. Do you know what it looks like? It looks like right, and all this 2-ton paper, it looks like it's out of a Chevrolet Corvette or something like that, or a Ford Thunderbird. Very American, very much of its time. Groovy. That is groovy. Love it. The Honda CL175 Sloper. The Sloper. Styling very similar to that Yamaha. Here's what Honda thought of it a bit later, 1968. Let's get this right this time. What have we got? Is it a single or a twin? It is a twin. Yeah. New old stock exhaust system we've managed to get on this one. Wow, with a fabulous sort of... Just come around here and show people. Look at that. I mean, if you were, you know, a young man with red blood coursing through his veins, through his American veins, I would imagine, in 1968, then why on earth wouldn't you want to get yourself a Honda CL175? Is it a twin? Would it be a twin at 175? Yes. Just checking. It's got 2 carbs, doesn't it? Yep, it's got 2 carbs. Just checking. Look at the paintwork. So groovy. What are we calling this colour? Again, it's a bit tomato. It's a bit Heinz tomato soup colour. It's sort of not red. It's not orange. It's an orangey. I bet the colour is called something like... It's like an electric guitar. If you had a Fender Stratocaster or a Gibson Les Paul from this era, it might be painted this colour. And did you know that those electric guitars, they used automotive paint? They deliberately used DuPont automotive paint because they wanted the look of those fantastic cars and bikes, like I've just mentioned, on the guitars. So again, we're just all learning together all the time, aren't we? As well as selling you some fantastic machines. £3,000 to £3,500 is the guesstimate on the Honda CL175 KO Sloper. Never seen one before. That's the thing. I come here, I get to do this, and I see bikes every single time I've never seen before. I've seen and ridden hundreds and hundreds of bikes. Every single time at Manor Park, I see a bike. I've never seen one of them before. Come down. The sale's on Friday. We have a good laugh. We sell bikes. We're nice. You'll love it. Come down. Honda CB200. Just had a restoration. Needs chrome work. Yeah, it does. See, we're honest here. We're not going, oh yeah, it's all done. People will go, oh, the chrome work's a bit. I mean, I don't know. I think you could clean it up and it would look a lot better. Bit of elbow grease. That's what you need on this. But look, no rips in there. No dings in that tank. Everything's in good order. The clocks are good. The forks are good. All the lenses on the indicators, the headlight. It's got a Kickstarter. CB200. There was an album called CB200 by Dillinger, I seem to remember. He was a reggae artist. Remember when there was reggae music? You never hear it now, do you? It's one of them things that's just gone away for no apparent reason. Yeah, they loved these back in the yard, as I believe they say. The CB200. A good, honest bike from back in the day. Sort of like the motorbike equivalent of like a 1600 Ford Escort or something like that. Just a do everything bike. Get you to work. Get someone on the back. I always have to shy away from my inclination to say a bird or something terrible like that that'll get me in trouble. Get a bird on the back. I'm not saying that. I'm stopping myself from saying that because it's 2025. But in 1977, you definitely would have said that. 77, you would have had like a denim cut-off, wouldn't you, on top of your leather with like status quo, maybe a bit of punk stuff as well, just to prove you were sort of, you know, cool. Sex Pistols, The Clash, definitely The Clash. They liked a leather jacket, didn't they? Guesstimate on that one, the CB200, 1,200 to 1,700 quid. Elbow grease is what's required. Look at that, foam grips. We all thought they were a good idea, didn't we? And then after a while, they'd go sort of crusty, like they have. Oof. Yeah. Ah, here we go. First big bike I ever rode. One of these. I didn't realise how rare they are. Yeah, the 550 is much commoner than this. As I say, the first big bike I ever rode, a Honda CB400F, a 404. 404, best colour. It looked good in blue as well, but for me, in yellow like this. Inline, 5-speed gearbox. Have we got and disc brake on the front? Yes, we've got a disc brake. We've got a 5-speed gearbox. This was an advanced, technologically advanced, well-equipped, good-looking, affordable motorcycle. And I am surprised at how few of them they made. It's quite rare. They're quite rare. They didn't make them for that long. Like I say, the 550, I didn't even know there was a 550, but of course, they started to come into the UK from the States. So many bikes have come in from the States. You wonder why the Americans don't want them. Because they send us good stuff and it's affordable. I think it's much more of a throwaway society, unlike us, who are, that's really good, I'm not going to throw that away. 1977, soon to be the 50th anniversary of this truly iconic bike, it says here. And for once, what's written down here, no, I'm only kidding, lads. The lads who write this down do an excellent job. And they're absolutely bang on the money here. Soon to be the 50th of a truly iconic bike. And the first big bike I ever rode, a Honda 404. You could have this one. And it was such a good bike to ride. As an introduction to big bikes, the handling, not a lot of power, but the handling and the brakes and everything, just so good for a bike from this era. It's £3,500 to £4,000. It's in particularly good condition and a lot rarer than I thought they made loads of these forever and ever. They didn't. It's a rare bike now. CB750 F2. The 90s remake of the 70s classic. Yeah. So 1992. Yeah, they kept bringing this back, didn't they? The universal Japanese motorcycle. Inline, 4-cylinder. Air-cooled? Yeah. Front and rear disc brakes, 5-speed gearbox, electric start. Yeah, you'd want it to be electric start, wouldn't you? 1992. So it's what, 23 years? No, Barry. 33. 33 years old. Wow. Right, what's the mileage on this one? 50,000. Yeah, it's a good, honest, do-everything bike, isn't it? A big bike, effortless power, super reliable, everything proven technology all over it. The brakes, the engine, the electrics, everything about it. It's just going to work. It's a Honda. The bike had been in production for what? From 68, this is 92. It was great when it came out and it was even better by this. I like this colour. I do like this colour. Fantastic. It's going to be cheap, this, I know it is. £1,500 to £2,000 on the 1992 Honda CB750 F2. Stunning American import. No, not my missus. She don't watch this. As if she's going to sit there and watch me talk about motorbikes for hours. She can get that at home. CBR. No, not CBR. What are you talking about, Barry? CB 900F. You know what it is. I like this colour as well. 1981, 900cc. This one's, it's had a bit of a restore and a freshen up. Fresh air filter, fresh oil filter, new hoses, new fuel tap, new grab rails, New jets in the carburetors, new ignition coils, leads, plugs. A mostly original bike apart from that. New tyres. Yeah, not a restoration, a revival of a motorcycle that was in pretty damn good condition. I mean, look at that saddle. That's the original saddle. Nobody's messed with it. They've just cleaned it up. There's not a lot of wear on it at all. Again, yeah, new grips. The clocks look great. This is all fantastic. So the mileage on it, and that's going to be miles because it's an American import, 14,500 since 1981. Wow. I think I've told this story, but I had a mate, a Liverpudlian gentleman of my association. I've got to be careful what I say. Liverpool's kind of, where are we? It's kind of over there, just over there. And he had one of these, but he was having a bit of a hard time and he had to commute a couple of 100 miles for work. And this bike only had one gear. It only had four. It was stuck in fourth. And he rode it around like that for a year. He'd just get going. He only sort of went down the motorway on it. He'd get going and he'd just keep going in fourth. He rode it around like that because you could slip it. You could get going in fourth on a bike like this. That's how good. And it didn't just explode and like throw the engine parts down the motorway. He shouldn't have done that, but he did. Sometimes a man's got to do what a man's got to do. And because it was a Honda, and because it was, again, an evolution of the universal Japanese motorcycle with this inline four-cylinder engine, he could do it. He subsequently fixed it, and he kept it for ages. This one, the estimate is £2,800 to £3,300, which seems awfully cheap for such a big hunker motorcycle. Look at the size of it, it's massive. Big, impressive machine. 1100. We got up to 1100. Now, do you like a brown saddle, Fraser? Yeah. Sometimes I do. I think it goes really well with this vibrant paintwork, this vibrant red. I was saying red. It's got a purpley aspect to it. Yeah. Cerise, can we say that? With the silver and black highlights. For some reason, the brown saddle suits it. I'm not sure about this box. But then again, I'm not going to buy it. But you might. And you might think, that looks absolutely fantastic. Wow, this bike is in amazing condition. Look at the engine. Look at the pipes. Look at all the bits low down that get all grimy and start to rot and decay. None of that. They went up to 1,300 with this bike. I had the 1,300 for a while. On a loan, it wasn't my... Wow, the condition's freaking me out. This bike is in amazing condition. It's like new. Ah, right, okay. There's a reason. Done 700 miles from new. 2021 CB1100 EX, 700 miles. Find a better one. Yeah, go on. Find a better one with a brown saddle and a brown box on the back. I'm warming to this brown box. It's got like a roll top type arrangement. You know, like who like a brown saddle? The Germans. Oh, they love a brown saddle. Yeah, that's probably why it's got it, because it's for them. And they like a physically large motorcycle, and that's what this is. You're buying a brand new bike, 700 miles, and 700 easy miles. Somebody's got, I mean, a bike can get filthy dirty in like 50 miles. Somebody's cleaned this with like a toothbrush and a sort of a rag on a stick and poked it up all the difficult to clean places. It is immaculate. You could eat your dinner off it, but don't, because we're selling it this Friday at Manor Park Classics, the only permanent site for classic cars and bikes in the Northwest, which means that although it's blowing a bloody hoolie outside and the rain's coming past the windows sideways, we're inside here where it's nice. And it'll be even nicer on Friday when it's the sale. And your bike, should you choose to sell it here, is inside out the horrible weather in a safe, secure, modern building. .650B Kawasaki. Iconic, isn't it? The 650 Kawasaki. Z650. I mean, they go on about the Z1300 and Z1s and all that sort of stuff. This is what most people actually had. You know, it's like with Ford Escorts, they go on about the Escort Cosworth, or Ford Sierras, the Sierra Cosworth. Most people who had a hot one had like an XR3i Escort, or if they had a Sierra, it was the XR4 before. Very, very few people had Z1300, Z1s. Far more had a Z650. And you might be one of those people and you're thinking, bloody hell, Z650. I had one of them back in the day. I went here, there and everywhere with the lads on it. I took the missus camping. We strapped the gear on the back. We went to the Bulldog. We went here. We went all over Europe. Here's a picture of us wearing flares going over Bassano in Italy. All that sort of stuff. If that was you, you might fancy this one. 1979, great condition, full running order. It's not mint, but it's dead good. Air-cooled, of course, 4-cylinder, 4-stroke with a 5-speed gearbox. This is a UK bike from new. It's got a new battery on it, matching numbers and all that. It's a good, honest, original bike. And you might be looking at that now and thinking, bloody hell, it's just like Janice. Get that photograph of us out when we went to Turkey on that Kawasaki. Look, there's one for sale at Manor Park. Let's get on it. Let's buy it. 2.5 to 3 grand. Yeah. Never mind your fancy 6-cylinder Kawasaki's from this era. This is what most people had, and they loved them because they were great. Kawasaki 250, Z250. Easy project, it says here on my information device. Oh yeah, lads, easy project. That's what you say. I'm not sure about this colour. Is it green? It's green, but it has a yellowy hue to it. It's a greeny yellow. It's a yellowy green. But it goes well with these white stripes. Oh, look at that. I love that. Again, that's just a cover. But if you are the 1978 250 World Champion Grand Prix champions, like Kawasaki were, you might as well brag about it and you can put a plaque on there. And then, you know, when you go for a cup of tea at the tea shack with the lads, you go, oh yeah, Kawasaki 250. Yeah, the bloke, he won the 250 World Championship on one of these. Just say these things. Most people just nod. That's what I do, as you've probably worked out from watching these videos, if you do. 79, 4-stroke twin, air-cooled, 6-speed. Yeah, it's a 6-speed to get the most out of that little 250cc engine. UK bike, it's got electric start, and it has a Motard exhaust. In very good condition, actually. I bet it's cheap. It is ridiculously cheap. 1,800 to 2,200 on that one, the 79 Kawasaki Z250. The best Zephyr. Oh, it's got cast wheels. Why hasn't it got wire wheels? It's a 750. Thought 750s all had wire wheels. I'm wrong. This one's got cast wheels. They did it as a 550, a 750, and 1100. And I reckon that just like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, it was the one in the middle that was just right. The 1100 was too big and heavy. The 550 was a bit smaller and underpowered and got a bit of reputation as a girl's bike because lots of women found that it was light and manageable and they liked the looks of it and so they bought them. But for me, the best one of these was this one, the 750. This is a UK spec bike. It's got 3 previous owners. It's done 28,000 miles from new. Brilliant usable condition. New battery, current MOT. Runs nicely. It says, seldom used by the vendor, but runs well and rides. That's what we like to hear. It's not had too much use, but it's had some use. 1991 now, 34 years ago. Bloody hell, I remember it being brand new. And riding it when it was brand new. And available to you at our sale on Friday with no reserve. Now, having said, never mind these big fancy Kawasaki Z1s and Z1300, guess what's next? That's right. First up is this 78 Kawasaki Z1000 A1, an early edition A1. Did the A1s have the squared off tank? No, Barry. They had this tank. wire wheels version. Yeah, so after this cast wheels, but this is a wire wheel version with twin discs on the front. Spent most of its life in Tenerife. Oh, that must have been nice for it, mustn't it? Because it's not very big. Restored in Spain using many new parts. It's in absolutely fantastic condition. The paint is awesome. It's got a Spanish plate on the back here. So let's have a look at some of the information that tells me all kinds of other interesting things about this bike. Right, you know what I said about ignoring all of these big fancy Kawasaki 1000cc and 1300cc classics because of the good, honest, smaller ones? Well, forget that, because coming up next we've got a Z1300. But first, this gorgeous 1978 Kawasaki Z1000, an early wire wheel version. You can tell that because of the wire wheels, although of course it's got twin discs up there because this is a big, powerful beast of a bike. This one, you're probably looking at it and thinking, well, that seemed really good, Nick. Has it been restored? Kind of, but it's benefited from spending most of its life in lovely, sunny, dry Tenerife. Yeah. It was recently restored and revived with all sorts of new parts, and it's available to you with that Spanish plate on the back. Well, I'm sure we've got all the paperwork, or else we won't be offering it for sale for between £4,000 and £4,300. What a great looking bike. In profile, side on, I don't think there's a better looking motorcycle that's ever been made. Just right. Houses, dogs, motorbikes, don't say the obvious one, Berry. It's all about proportion, and this bike had that. Everything's in proportion. Just such a good looking bike, and a great riding bike. 4,000 to 4,300 is the guesstimate on the Kawasaki Z1000A1 with wire wheels, so it looks saucier than the one with cast wheels. Right. Four. What a bike. 1982 Kawasaki Z1300. Early 80s six-cylinder superbike. It says a superbike of its day. Well, yes, lads. Look at that lump of an engine. 6 cylinders. There was the bit. I remember going in. What was he called, that fella? Erwin Tregex. The guy who did the Encyclopedia of Motorcycling. Come on. Don't tell me you didn't go in your local library, wherever you are. I was in Bury Library, obviously, poring over the Encyclopedia of Motorcycling, reading it from cover to cover multiple times, and looking at the Benelli 6, which I think was first to the party, the Honda CBX, a bit later, and this one, which I thought was the sexiest out of the three, the Kawasaki Z1300. What was he called, that fella? Arto Nyquist. He used to jump off the back wearing clogs, and like the clogs had set on fire. I've done that. Not in clogs, I was wearing like steel shoes with titanium segs on them, since you ask, but I have done it. What a bike. Look at it. Fantastic. Electric start. Well, yeah, I mean, it's a 1300 six-cylinder bike. Electric start, shaft drive, registered as historic. You don't need tax and MOT on this one. What you do need is a great big pair of Watsits to ride it. And no one rode these better than my pal from just up the road, Mr. Gary Rothwell, who used to rip up the tarmac at the TT. Once the racing was done, we'd go down on the front and Gaza would get up to all sorts on one of these. Got arrested a couple of times. Later on, they paid him to do exactly the same thing, which says a lot about A, the Isle of Man, and B, motorcyclists. Maybe that's why we love bikes. And it's easy to love a bike like this. Iconic, classic, call it what you want. Look how massive it is. Just look at all of this. Fantastic. And it's in great condition. £7,500 to £8,000. I don't know why you can buy one of the most classic, most iconic bikes of all time in this kind of condition so cheaply. But I'm glad that people can. Come to our sale, it's this Friday, buy it, enjoy it. Tell me that opening this thing up and hearing that 6-cylinder engine screaming isn't one of the greatest experiences of your life. And you could have it for between £7,500 and £8,000, we reckon. Wow. Over here, walks this way. Because it's Ducati time. It had to be eventually, didn't it? Right, so what we have here is a 2024 Ducati Panigale V2, the 2-cylinder, Super Quattro Final Edition, the collector's Panigale. Only 555 built. Thought to be the only one in the world that hasn't even been through PDI. Delivered to the owner without the engine ever being started. You can have it in road or race form. You've got the presentation pack. The Ducati V2 Panigale was designed and created to celebrate the culmination of Ducati's V-twin, L-twin, call it what you will, their 2-cylinder progression, their evolution. This is a collector's dream. It's brand new. Look at it. It's never even been started. It's not been PDI'd. It's not been ridden. It's a brand new bike. And the estimate on this one is between 26 and 30,000 of your English pounds. You could just look at it. It's a work of art. It'd be nice when they painted that tank. See, that was a joke, like, because it's sort of primer grey. But it's all part of a fantastic colour scheme designed to celebrate Ducati's dominance of motorcycle racing in their time. This is the collector's Panigale, the Super Quattro Final Edition Panigale V2. Brand new, mint, never been run. Yours at our sale on Friday for between 26 and 30,000 pounds. Where are we going next? From the sublime to the NSU Quickly. Now, there's a motorbike that can go very quickly, and here's one that's called a Quickly. The NSU Quickly. I like them. My pal, one of my best friends, has got one of these on his credit card. Yeah, he could have had any image, anything. They would put any image on it. He could have had, like, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, or like the Great Pyramid at Giza, or Manchester Town Hall, one of the greatest buildings in Britain. But he chose to have an NSU Quickly. NSU were the biggest manufacturer of motorcycles in the world at the time when they made this. It's not a motorbike, it's not a motorbike, it's a chopper, baby. No, it's an auto cycle. That wouldn't have worked. If Bruce Willis had said that, it wouldn't really work. Where did you get this motorcycle? It ain't a motorcycle, baby. It's an auto cycle. This is an auto cycle. A motorbike for non-motorcyclists. Really, the 1950s and 1960s equivalent of like one of these electrical bicycles that passes you when you're pedaling furiously like me on your normal bike and somebody goes bombing past you with electric power combined with pedals. 600 to 800. It's very rare. We haven't got a V5, but it runs and rides great. You can sort that out yourself. Look at that, NSU. So, all of this is pressed steel. All of it, because really, NSU were car makers. And when you see car makers coming into anything with two wheels, instead of using tubing, they're much more inclined to use like pressed steel and make a monocoque out of pressed steel sections. But it makes it it makes it look different and quite stylish. I like that. 600 to 800 on the Quickly. The Tenderlet Grand Lux. Whoa, the Grand Lux, fantastic. And it's got grand looks, hasn't it? Do you think it's got grand looks, Fraser? What do you reckon? Fraser approves. I approve. Again, I like it because it's like an attempt to make a utility object look good and be quite sporty and saucy for the people that would use them. And I can't help but admire that, even though in some ways it's quite comical. It's very stylish. I love the shape of the tank. This, whatever you do, if you're going to buy this, just get it running. Just get it running and leave it like this, for goodness sake. Don't clean it up. The Tenderlay. Recently arrived in the UK. Appears to be original, it says here. Well, I can't imagine you could fabricate any of that patina, as we're going to call it. Between 300 and 500. 1960s. Recently arrived. Yeah. These are rare, I think. My pal will be able to tell. The man who likes wonky mopeds. A Honda PC50. A fully working, iconic 50cc scooter from 1968. Originally bought to be part of a collection, it has been started and ridden around our car park to prove its mechanical integrity. Yeah. If you know about these, you might want to add it to your collection. In fact, my pal might want to add it to his collection. He's got 30 odd of the things. 30 odd of these. Like, stuff like this. But apparently this is like the one, the PC50 Honda. UK bike, this one, 3 owners from new, original panels. We haven't got a V5, but you can get 125 quid. Bike runs and rides, it starts easily. It's just been serviced, like me. And, unlike me, it's available for between £700 and £800. The Honda PC50. Motobican MB1, a truly stunning 100-year-old motorcycle. Yeah, 100, not out the Motobican. 175, 2-stroke motor, a lovely restored machine. Look at that saddle. Dry stored. In fact, its 100th birthday is in July this year. So you could buy it and like take it out for its 100th birthday, have a bit of a party. Don't have anything, well, don't have too much to drink. Maybe un glace du vin, yeah? Because, you know, you'd be in charge of a powered vehicle. So you won't want to be under the influence. Look at that, what a stylish thing. Right, what do we reckon? Oh, a 100-year-old machine, still rocking, fully functional, between £2,800 and £3,200. Look at them forks. Look at this arrangement here where there's that's board and then the springing is in here. Clever. Because there's hardly any weight to it. You wouldn't need too much in the way of front suspension. I love this light as well, a carbide lamp. Not exactly convenient, but, you know, undoubtedly stylish. An extremely rare Chinese version of like that Honda, I would say. The Jialing Easy Rider, because when you look at this, you think of the freewheeling counterculture and like Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda throwing the watches away and just like setting off to find America, don't you? Easy Rider, baby. Look at this, the Chinese take on it from 1997. UK registered back then. Right, so think about it. UK registered in 97. People are saying a lot of Chinese bikes are coming into the UK, new bikes now. Well, this came into the UK, made in China, in 1997. So that's like a while ago. 28 years ago, nearly 30 years ago, Chinese built machines were coming in. I've got a funny feeling that you could buy these from like, right, in the comments, you can put me right on this, and I'm sure you will. I've got a funny feeling you could buy these at the catalogue. Like if you had Grattan, if your mother had Grattan or Marshall's, one of those catalogues, Great Universal, I think you could buy one of these out the catalogue. And that was like, I know you could buy a Tomos I'm pretty sure you could buy one of them as well. The other things I used to look at that were obviously the lingerie section and air rifles. So I didn't really look at the moped section, but I'm pretty sure that was where you could get one of these. Estimate on that one, because of its rarity and it's a UK bike from new, £600 to £800. If we can circumnavigate this giant Rolls Royce, Fraser, then we can tell people, wow, what a thing, about this bike. I like this. 1989 Honda CBR600, obviously customised in the cafe racer style. So you've got the reliability and the power generated by that legendary engine out of a CBR600 from 1989, but obviously it's been extensively reworked in that kind of, and it's got an Ace Cafe badge on the back here. I love it, it's great. Really nice, really neat, hangs well together. They've got a digital display here, sort of digital clocks. It's retro and it's modern at the same time. It's a nice job that's been done on this. Recent service. It's got a rear-facing camera. Oh, wow. Right, so, yeah, that, instead of mirrors, it's got a screen there and you've got a camera. Ah, there it is, rather obviously. Where's the camera, I'm thinking? Yeah, that would be the camera, wouldn't it? The thing that looks like a camera. It looks like a little webcam. And then instead of having, well, you could use these mirrors that are on the ends of the, but I wouldn't imagine you'd see much other than your elbows. Rear-facing camera, like the Norton V4 that I rode recently, that I had one of these on, except, unlike the Norton V4 that I rode, this one isn't 45,000 quid. Instead, that's how much that Norton, fantastic bike, but, and looks amazing, but a ton of money. This looks good. It's a one-off job, all sorts of nice parts on it. Yours, we reckon, for between £800 and £1,000. Katana, GSX 1100. Stunning example, beautiful restoration. 1100cc air-cooled inline 4, used as a Sunday toy by the owner. Maxton suspension, they're the kiddies. Ida Maxton Blackbird, front and back suspension. Transformed the bike, turned it to from a lard arse sort of Grand Tourer into like a big CBR 600. Love what those guys do. It's not about having race suspension, it's about having suspension that works better on the road, and this bike benefits from that. Otherwise, it's absolutely mint to death. And the thing about this was, it looked like the future, but it wasn't. There wasn't, the technology that was on it was all tried and tested. It just looked futuristic. But there was nothing wrong with anything that was going on here. It was all mega. But they just made it look more futuristic. And people went, I nearly said they lost their what's it. I did when I saw this when it was new. Amazing bike. 1983, is it really 83? Is this bike over 40 years old? Yes, it is. Tax and MOT exempt. The Katana is now a bona fide classic. Yours, we reckon, between £8,500 and £9,000. That's for nothing. That bike's like new. The Buell Firebolt XB, is it the XB9R? No, yeah, the XB9R. Early low mileage example. It's got these perimeter brakes. It's got the Harley-Davidson engine, which in this incarnation is 1,000 cc's. This is a UK bike supplied from a collection. That usually means low mileage. It's digitalis here, so I can't see the mileage that it has done. In fact, I can check. Yeah, 5,000 miles from new. When they say supplied from a collection, you think, the dude had loads of bikes, so they're all going to be low mileage because he's got a load of bikes. Instead of all the mileage being piled on one bike, it's distributed amongst a variety of bikes. 5,000 miles from new. 2004, it's 20 years old. It's done 5,000 miles. You want to know how much it is? For nothing. £2,400 to £2,900. the Buell Firebolt XB9R. Phaser, good, honest, reliable, good-looking motorcycle. Not too, again, the UJM, the Universal Japanese Motorcycle. It's got 4 cylinders in line across the frame. It's got a steel, tubular steel frame. This one has done, it looks low mileage. It looks low mileage. It's got 6,000 miles on it. And it's 2002, so 6,000 miles in 24 years. Wow. Nothing. Nothing. High days and holidays it's been out on, which is funny because these were kind of bought by people who were very sort of value conscious. They probably wanted a bigger bike with a higher spec. Although it's got the old blue spot calipers, blue dot calipers on there, yeah, it benefited from a good spec. They were very affordable in their time, and so people bought them and piled miles on them. That's what makes this one unusual. That's what makes it look different. If you always fancied one, you had one back in the day, you fancy an absolute minter just to play on at the weekend, you can't do better than that. Or you might just want to use it to commute on and do a ton of miles because it's super cheap. 1,800 to 2,200 is the guesstimate on the 2002 Yamaha 600 Phaser. GSX 1400. I had a 1300 Honda and I had a couple of XJR 1300 Yamahas, including the SP, the one that had the all-in suspension on the back and the groovy paintwork. I enjoyed having them and riding them. Good, usable bikes with a ton of power, loads of presence, loads of road presence. But it was almost like an arms race, and I think this was the biggest, the 1400. Not 1200, not 13, 1400cc. I think they just did it so they could say they were the biggest. The Suzuki blue, white and black paintwork. Looks great. 38,000 miles. Wow, you wouldn't think so. Credit to the owner. Aftermarket exhaust. What else have we got here? Some nice extras. The screen is good. Custom covers on there. These adjustable levers wouldn't have been standard either. Yeah, it's just some nice extras. There's a dress-up kit on the rad and the engine, that sort of stuff. Nice, subtle extras that don't make it look, a fella said to me, that don't make it look, he's ridden it through Halfords covered in super glue. You know, thoughtful modifications. Riser bars there. 4,000 to 4,500, 2002. An iconic muscle bike. Yeah, a muscle bike, that's what they were. Didn't exactly try, you know, didn't try and add lightness, did they? They just made a big grunty bike with, like I say, a lot of road presence. 4,000 to 4,500 pounds. Here we go. Look at this. Great looking bike. Great riding bike. 2021 Ducati Street Fighter V4S loaded. This bike is loaded. It's got everything that you'd imagine you could have on this bike. A speed crazed wheelie monster. No, not me. This bike, it says here. This Street Fighter is fully... Oh, here we go. Right, so it's got this aftermarket exhaust on it, which changes the routing of the exhaust. It's got... Ah, right, okay. So it's got the same power output as it would have had with the standard exhaust, but it's just different. Look, right, so... 16,000 to 18,000. And it's like, again, it's like a new bike. This is what surprises me. Bikes I've had, when I've used them, they start to look used. And no matter how much I clean them, I can never get them like this. Now, I know for a fact that there are motorcycle detailers. There are people who clean bikes for a living, and they can do it a lot better than I ever could. And I reckon somebody's been at this one because It's got over 10,000 miles on it, but you'd never know. Look at this. Not just wings, but double wings. It's a biplane. Look at that. All sorts of stuff on this. Hello, little dog. Do you like the? Do you like this? You fancy a bit of the decay? Yeah. That being upstaged by a. Is that a puggle or a boodle? One of the two. Yeah, the Street Fighter. As a former editor of Street Fighters magazine, it was interesting to see the motorcycle manufacturers adopt the Street Fighter style into showroom machines. But it wouldn't have been Ducati that I thought would do it more successfully. And yet I think they have. What a bike. What a bike for between 16 and 18,000 pounds. The condition. Look at the condition of it. And all these extras that would have been a ton of money. Just even like that clutch cover there. All of this, just a ton of money. And yours between 16 and 18,000 pounds in our sale this coming Friday. Let me take you back 30 years when sports bikes ruled the earth like this. 1994, Yamaha TZR125 R Belgarda. So the Belgarda bit was in the same way that Honda had Montesa, Yamaha owned Belgarda in Italy. I had two Belgarda built bikes. I had an SZR660 and a Yamaha Bulldog, which was a sort of big Ducati Monster type bike with, don't hold it against it, it was a good bike, I enjoyed owning it, the Virago 1100 motor. Hey, stop, behave, right? So what you get is something with the reliability and the race-proven technology of a Yamaha, but with lots of Italian trick bits on it built in Italy. So you'd get Brembo brakes, proper Brembo Italian brakes, not Chinese Brembo brakes. Nothing wrong with Chinese things. The device which is recording me now is Chinese, and the device that you're watching me on now is probably also Chinese. But this is back in the day when Marchesini wheels and Minarelli crankcases, like on this one, would have been made in Italy, not just have an Italian name and be built somewhere else. 24,000 kilometers on this one. It is in really good but usable condition. It looks like a TZR250, but it's a lot cheaper at 1,750 to 2,250 on the Italian-built Yamaha TZR125 R Belgarda. Now, when you talk about Italian-built, it don't get much better than this. I went to grammar school. I shouldn't really say it like that. If Mr. Daz could hear me, a board rubber would be winging its way directly towards my cranium. But I'm saying that because I do think this is one of the best bikes ever made in Italy. It's from, I would imagine, 1994, the same period. Let me have a look here. No, it's much later, 2000. Aprilia RS250, MotoGP inspired, Loris Capirossi, Max Biaggi, and the Doctor himself. Is he the all-time GOAT? He might be. Valentino Rossi, they all rode 250 Aprilia. This bike directly inspired by that. The engine was from a bike that we're going to move on to in just a bit, or it was inspired or developed from that. It was the V-twin out of the Suzuki, wasn't it? The RGV 250. But with the top ends from Aprilia, and they worked on it a lot. You had lap timers, you had all sorts of... I mean, this was the dogs, wasn't it? Come on, back in the day. I went out to Italy to ride this out the factory. I met Ivan Beggio. I had an amazing time. One of the lads I was with, this is a bit weird, but I am going to mention it. He ran over a cat while we were out on the test ride. I mean, I hope the cat was all right, but I was right behind him. And I thought, I had to absolutely slam on, and we were going between cars at speed. We were filtering cars at speed, and he hit it, and I slammed full on this, and it just stopped. It did not deviate from a straight line, and it just stopped. The brakes were so great. The styling, the sound, it's a two-stroke. When they say race inspired, I mean, normally they just mean a bit of a paint job and it makes a rotty sound. This truly was. The banana swing arm, there are so many things. This shotgun style, the shotgun style cans on this side, the dip in the tank there for you to put your chin. It's just, I don't know if any bike made in the last 50 years and offered for sale at a reasonable, affordable price to the public, not some crazy limited edition, tiny number that they made. A bike that they sold on the high street to real people has ever been giving you such a feeling of being on a race bike, on the road, as the Aprilia RS250. This is the best colour scheme, and this one we reckon will sell for between £6,000 and £6,500. 250 V-twin, 6-speed gearbox, 55 brake horsepower. Those are the facts, but just look at it and tell me you don't want one. You do, and you can have one this Friday in our sale at Manor Park. Right, okay. Kawasaki, Kips. Was it Kawasaki integrated power valve system, Kips? I think it was. Get in the comments, put me right, I know you will. KR1S, not to be confused with KRS1, who mourned his friend Scott LaRock, who I think got a cap in his ass. Let's not go there. I've got a cap, I normally put it on my head. 250, two-stroke, parallel twin. This was a winner on the track. It was a winner on the street. I remember the lads at Performance Bike Magazine. I go on about Performance Bike Magazine, but because I was in a shop the other day and I had time to kill because I was with somebody who was shopping and I hate shopping. So I went looking at the motorbike magazines and I was disheartened by what I found. I found a paucity of quality in terms of the publishing, the written word, the photography, and the paper that the stuff was actually printed on. Bike magazine, have you no shame? Yeah, have you no shame? Back in the day, when this bike was in its pomp, back in 1989, there were proper bike magazines. Superbike, yeah. Can I squeeze through there? What do you reckon? Oh, 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 just about. Yeah. Same trousers as when I was 18. Not the same trousers, it'd be a bit, yeah, if they were 42-year-old trousers. No. But that means I could ride one of these because very little compromise in terms of the ergonomics. It's not exactly a cruiser, is it? Or a sort of machine for putting on the miles. What it is a machine for is cranking on that Kickstarter, firing up this crackly, popping and banging two-stroke parallel twin and getting on it. Yeah, like they would in those magazines back in the day. Relive the great days of the late 80s and early 90s on a Kawasaki KR1. UK bike, superb paintwork, runs and rides, starts easily, great tyres, the seat's been recovered, recent chain and sprockets. It's ready to go. Nout wrong with that bike, nout. Yours, perhaps, should you choose to take it for between £5,500 and £6,000, which reflects the desirability and the collectability of that there Kawasaki. Think of what happened to these back in the day. They got absolutely battered. Quite rightly, that's what they were for. But they got battered, they got bashed, they got smashed, they got trashed. How few are left like this? I always thought those white mirrors looked a bit, yeah. I still do. Yeah, I always did and I still do. But apart from that, mega. An 80s are odd. There was an 80cc World Championship. It was like 50, and then you think, yeah, it was 50, 125, 250. No. There was 80 as well. And again, it was like a legislative thing. It was to do with law. It was legislative. In other words, he said you can only have an 80 or a 75. And so that's why bikes like this existed in certain markets. And then we probably didn't get it, or maybe we got it in small numbers. And it would have sold in small numbers in the UK if it had been offered, because we had 50 125 250 back in the day, didn't we? It's all changed now, but that's what it was like. 1990s NSR 80, an original 80s super sport bike, weighs 2 halves of sod all, and it's got a 2-stroke motor. There were no advisories on the last MOT. Original bike. The vendor states it runs and rides beautifully. Good tyres. It's got a V5. It's done. 6,500 kilometres. And it comes in this red, white and blue. Look at that. It's super sport. Super sport. Yeah. Does it even get a disc brake on the back? Of course it gets a disc brake on the back. It's a super sports bike, and it could be yours for between £1,200 and £1,700. The Honda NSR 80, a rare bike here in the UK. The baby blade, you say? Yes. Oh, turn that paintwork down. Sorry, mate, I didn't see you. What do you mean you didn't see me? Got a fluorescent motorcycle. Yeah. It's given me a real sort of hacienda vibe, this. Yeah, I used to go there back in the day in Manchester. And this is giving me that sort of late 80s, early 90s fluorescent, acid-drenched vibe. Yeah. Freshly MOT'd, ready to go. The baby blade, as we call it. You don't want a 600, you don't want a 900. If you were Japanese, what you wanted was the 400. They bought them by the truckload, and a lot of them ended up here as what we used to call grey imports. I don't really hear people calling them those then now. It's got mile per hour clocks on it, so is it a UK bike? It is a UK bike originally, and that makes it rare. Custom paint, 12 months MOT, lots of previous MOTs, lots of paperwork and receipts. We've got Haynes manual with this one. Yeah, Haynes manual, should you care to do your own maintenance. Because it's a Honda, you won't need to do too much of that. Only 5 previous owners, it says here, in 1988. Wow. A while back. What a thing this was back in the day. What a technological marvel. What a jewel of a motorcycle. And of course, it's got a pillion seat there. Although there aren't any pillion pegs for obvious reasons, because who'd want to sit there? Not me. The Honda 2008 Honda CBR 1000RR, ultra low mileage, Repsol Rep. It's a Repsol Rep. That's right. It's a replica of Honda's handsome Repsol liveried MotoGP machinery. This is from, as I say, 2008. It's a 1000cc inline 4-cylinder 4-stroke. We know that with the 6-speed manual box. Low mileage, it's digitalis. What is that mileage? Weirdly, we reckon that even though this bike is from 2008, we reckon from the paperwork that the mileage is about 1,200 miles. This happens. People buy bikes thinking that they've got a future that's different to the one that they actually end up with. And so they end up with a bike that's 16 years old, but has done 1,200 miles. And so they send it to us so that we can offer it for sale to you in our sale, which is happening this Friday at this fantastic facility near Runcorn in the northwest of England. Come along, it's a great day. Like-minded people. We have a laugh. The auctioneer's mega. I'm there mithering people and being annoying, but, you know, there's lots of good things as well. 2000, the year 2000, let's all meet up in the year 2000, as Jarvis Cocker once said. I once had an MOT behind Jarvis Cocker. He was getting MOT'd and I was MOT'd after him. And do you know what he was driving? I'll tell you what he was driving. A Dodge Ram pickup truck. So yeah, blowing all your stereotypes out of the water. You thought it'd be something quirky and British. He was in a Dodge Ram pickup truck, Jarvis. And it was definitely him. It's hard to wear brown corduroy and pull it off like he does. I wouldn't dare. It's an R1, year 2000, very original example. 6-speed manual, UK bike from new. Has it got the big mad silencer on it? Yeah. That the original one? Titanium. I don't think the original one was titanium. That may have been an option from Yamaha for more money. Or perhaps it was titanium. You tell me, everybody. I don't remember that. Great colour scheme on this one. Man United colours, red, white and black. Not that I'm a fan these days. I liked it when it was Georgie Best and Dennis Law, R.I.P. Dennis Law, the Lawman. Yeah, they've all gone now. All the three outside Man United, George Best, Sir Bobby and the Lawman, all gone. Things have changed, the world's changed, but we can all go back and relive the past courtesy of all these fantastic bikes we have at Manor Park, like this one. Like I say, it's from the year 2000, so it's a classic bike. You could get this, I reckon, on classic bike insurance, because it's like virtually 25 years old. Can you believe that you can have a bike as good as this, as good as an R1 with 30,000 miles on it? Credit to the owner, the condition of this one. Yeah, you can see it's been used, but very, very clean. 30,000 from new. R1, UK bike. The estimate, the guesstimate, it's only what we think. It's only a guide. On the day, it might be very different. But we reckon between £3,000 and £3,500. Relentless. Yes, I am relentless. But then you knew that. This is a relentless rep. We've had a Repsol rep, now we've got a relentless rep. 2005 Suzuki GSXR750 factory standard limited edition superbike with all sorts of lovely relentless extras on it, like these decals, that can maybe, that relentless hugger on the back, all sorts of bits and bobs all over the bike, which enhance its already handsome and brutal appearance. A legend this, the GSXR600. The last MOT, there were no advisories on this bike. The bike itself, when it was new, retailed for 750 quid above the price of a regular GSXR 600. The bike runs and rides great. It's got RC crash protectors on it. It's got great tyres, it says. Yeah, well, there's certainly plenty of meat on them. And the estimate is £2,500 to £3,000. Great, usable sport bike. Lots of laughs. Lots of laughs. Yeah, lots of laughs. With the 2005, good grief, it's 20 years old, GSXR 600 Suzuki. I like this one. I do. In fact, we're going to come to another one in a sec, but this is a Honda VTR 1000. I had a VTR 1000 Firestorm, but not like this one. I had the regular cooking version. Good bike, I liked it. Very neutral, friendly in the handling department. Not exactly a ball of fire. Had a tiny fuel tank, the standard VTR 1000, the Firestorm as they called it. This is a different kettle of fish. This is the SP1 SPY. A tastefully modified V-twin superbike, single-seater, bigger tank, all the sort of race stuff on it. Bit of a legend. Your man, Joey Dunlop, I remember him racing one of these on the Isle of Man. It's got the RC51 V-twin motor. Power commander is fitted. The cans, right? The LBP cans. Look at these exhausts on the bike. You've got one on each side. So Fraser, you can just show people the one on this side. And I would say to people, how much on top? Aren't they diddy when you look at the big doofer on the R1 we've just seen? So you look at just a few years later, we've got this with these LBB cans. Very nice. And do you know why they're very nice? Because they cost £3,000, £3,000. Yeah. So you've got all this extra stuff on, like I said, the power commander. It's got the steering damper. It's got this hugger on the back. It's got all sorts of extra stuff on it, which you don't have to shell out the big bucks for. £3,000 on the exhaust. 3 grand exhaust on that bike. The estimate on the whole bike, not just the exhaust, £4,500 to £5,300 on the Honda, nearly 25 years old. Keep saying that, but I can't believe that that bike is nearly 25 years old. Year 2000, Honda VTR 1000 SP1 Spy, SPY. I think that might be the bargain in the sale, because that would be absolutely mind-blowing to ride. A well-sorted one of these, fantastic. If you like a V-twin, and I do like a V-twin, yeah, I do. R1, again, ooh, carbon fibre. Road registered track race bike, 2004, woof! V5 supplied, H&M quick shifter. What, H&M? What, from like those people that sell like cheap practical cloth? No, not those, not from that H&M, a different H&M. All-ins, fully, right, listen to the spec on this and you won't believe the price. So, 2004 R1. H&M quick shifter, all-ins fully adjustable rear shock, all-in steering damper. It's just been serviced. We've got spare fairings for it because it's a road track bike. We've got spare wheels for it with wet weather tyres. It runs and rides. It's got a rear camera fitted. Can be ridden daytime on the road because look, like there's no headlight on the front, so you've got the old daytime MOT. Ride it to the track, have a lot of fun, ride it home, all that extra gear. It's an R1 to start with, 2004. Estimate on this bike, what do you reckon for this weapon? Weapon's a funny word, isn't it? It can be either good or bad. You could say, for instance, looking at this, what a weapon. Or you could say, for instance, looking at me, what a weapon. Different meanings. This bike, believe it or not, the guesstimate, 2004 Yamaha R1 with all this kit on it and all the extra stuff, spare wheels with wet tyres, spare fairings, the guesstimate £2,000 to £2,500. We're giving it away. Giving it away. I've never seen one of these before. See, I did say it earlier. I come to Manor Park and I always see a bike I've never seen before. And I've seen lots of bikes. But what I normally do is have a scout round to see notable machines that I might want to make special points about. I hadn't noticed this little Yamaha tucked away over here. What is it, you cryberry? It's an FZ250 phaser, but look, phaser with a per instead of a fur. A phaser super quarter. And of course that super quarter refers to it's 250cc, a quarter of a litre, 250cc engine, FZ250 Genesis, which is frame technology obviously, double overhead cam, 16 valves. See, this is the thing in motorcycling. In the car game, they get all super excited about this sort of thing, but even by 1985, this was standard practice for us, wasn't it? You get all the car boys going, oh, 16 valve. Triumph had 5 valve heads in the 1920s on motorbikes. 5 valve heads 100 years ago. Yeah, because in the bike world, you've got to be clever, haven't you? You can't just hide all the weight. You've got to be clever with your tech. You've got to get the frame right. You've got to get the engine right. You've got to get the looks right. Do you know who'd like this? I tell you who'd like the looks of this bike. My buddy, my friend and colleague, absent as he is, Mr. Paul Cowland, with who I started doing these little preview videos, but now has abandoned me, yeah, to my own devices. And what a device this is. This has got that 80s styling that he likes. Look how integrated it is, the way that this fairing with the indicators built in and it all flows into the, instead of side panels, it just flows into a big, mad, angular, integrated, very 80s. He'd love that, my mate. And he's bought bikes at these auctions. He's bought one. In fact, I've just got one MOT'd for him. And I'm going to ride it around his house and knock on his windows when he's watching Emmerdale Farm or whatever he does when he's in the, privacy of his own domicile. I'm going to knock on his windows. Hey, I brought your bike! Paul, let me in. Pretend he's not at home. People do that when I come round. I know you're in. I know you're in. 1985. Hold on a minute. Hold on a sec. Get this, right? 4-cylinder. No. Yes. Look under there. Fraser, you're a young man. Can you, like, show people down there? Look. Yeah, it's a 250, but it's a 4-cylinder 250. 4-cylinder, 16-valve, double overhead cam. What amazing tech for 1985 we had on bikes. Cars were in the dark ages compared to the technology that we had on bikes. That is a great example of it. In fantastic condition. The guesstimate, 2,500, come out of a collection. So again, it says come out of a collection. There'll be no miles on it. Actually, that's not true. 20,000 kilometres, but since 1985, which is 40 years ago, not many. Brilliant condition. Look at the paintwork, fantastic. I like that. That was one of the reasons I love this job. Coming and seeing a bike I've not seen before, and what a piece of kit it is. The technology. Did I mention the technology? I think I did. 2,500 to 3,000 on the Yamaha phaser with the per instead of the fur. Ducati 2001, Ducati 2000. I love to fondle. You may have noticed that I do fondle the bikes. I love motorcycles. Some people don't like it. Oh, he's touching the bikes. I love bikes. I love like fiddling with all the tech and having a look at how things are mounted and what they're made out of and all that. And I'm looking at that, and it's just the classic view that I'm so familiar with of the Ducati setup from this era. What is it? 2001? Yeah, the 996. This is the bike out of the Matrix, isn't it? Down, 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 down. That's how they move Ducatis around America. They put them all on the back of like a car thing, strap them down. They put petrol in the tanks and they leave the keys in. That's how they do it. It's just pretending it's Hollywood. Just pretend. But what a bike. So it says here, biposto. Now a biposto is a 2-seater. So is there a 2-seater near here? That's a monoposto. I can tell because it's only got one seat. And I won the Latin prize 2 years running at the grammar school. So I know my biposto from my monoposto. And this is a monoposto. Although somebody's possibly changed this seat unit, but it's got the 996S registration. Hold on a minute. Bit of detective work required here. Nope, the registration confirms that this is the bike that it says it is. 996 liquid cool, 90-degree V-twin. This one's had a full service done, and the belts, importantly on one of these older Ducati V-twins, the belts were done at 17,638 miles, and it's now got 17,641. So they've just been done by Mike Hawes Motorcycles. Lots of service history, stamps and receipts. It's in fantastic condition. Look at this lovely carbon fibre. Ooh, Brembo, Ducati. One of the best looking motorcycles. Look at them mirrors, utterly useless. Unless you like, right, you can look at your elbows. Look at the elbows, they look great. My elbows. Can't see anything else, but they're beautiful, so who cares? Sometimes things are just beautiful, they don't really work. Careful what you say, Barry. They're beautiful, but they don't really work. Anyway, what a bike. Just seems ridiculously cheap to me. 7,500 to 8,500 pounds. A stunning example with lots of upgrades. It is. Termies on the back, yeah. Carbon ear, carbon dry clutch, making that distinctive rattle. I love that. People used to pull up to me and go, "Hey mate, your bike's broke. There's something wrong with your bike." There's nothing wrong with it, mate. It's a Ducati. There's lots of things that are right with it. Look at it. It's beautiful, for starters. I get all excited around Ducatis. Another R1. Didn't I say this was the best bike in the world 25 years ago? I think I did. I might have been right as well. Yamaha R1 Wayne Rainey replica. One of the greatest motorcycle racers of all time. And recently got back on a bike. Of course, Wayne was tragically injured, severely injured in a racing accident, and has spent the best part, well, he spent a couple of decades in a wheelchair. Recently got back on a bike. I watched the video. Proper tearjerker it was. This is a 6-speed manual with a 1000cc inline 4-cylinder engine. It's a UK bike from new, this one. It's in absolutely fantastic condition. Look at it. In fact, try to look at it. Try to come to the sale. I know I say this. Most of you can't. I realise that. We're in Runcorn in the northwest of England. You could be anywhere. You could be in like Phnom Penh. You could be in Buenos Aires. You could be falling over another R1 like Fraser just nearly did somewhere else. He's good though. He's young. He's very supple. That's why we use him. So you want to know how much, I mean, what more can I tell you? Like I said, UK bike, it's an R1, it's a 2000 R1, and it's in fantastic condition with just, wow, 30,000 miles in it. Again, we do get low mileage bikes. We get bikes like this, 30,000 miles. This bike's been loved and used, right? But look how clean it is. Look how clean it is. You'd think that auctions like this would be full of like old clunkers that people just want to get rid of. But they're not. People seem to, it's weird. People seem to mint these bikes up and then try to sell them for like not a lot of money. So I'm looking at thinking, okay, you've got an R1 there from 2000, nearly a 25-year-old bike. It's done 30,000 miles. You want to mint it up, that's going to be a lot of work and a lot of money. And so you can sell it. Yeah, but the estimate is £5,000 to £5,500. It just seems cheap to me. It just seems like not a lot of money. We had that 996 biposto, monoposto. Let's not get all upset about details. Let's ignore the details and look at the big picture instead. And the big picture includes this really nice Ducati 900. I don't know why I said 900. I do know why I said 900 because I've had 3 of them. I've had 3 900 SSs. This is a 600 SS. You can tell because it's only got one disc on the front. He said confidently, moving around to the front, yeah, it's not there. That's how you can tell that it's a 600 or for the Japanese market, and some of them have made their way over here subsequently, a 400cc version of this bike. So not exactly a ball of fire, but very low mileage, 7,700 miles from new since 1994. So in 30 years, 7 and a bit thousand miles. Not many at all. Fantastic condition. The classic looks of a classic Ducati. Starts first time, current MOT. It's had recent tyres and could be yours for between, oh, bloody hell, this is cheap, 1,300 and 1,800 of your English pounds. Yeah, it's only a 600, but it's a Ducati. Look at that, beautiful. And this one's in great condition. Really is. Super low miles though. We've had a few R1s, and here's its little brother, the R6. Old school sports bike, it says here. The lads have got it bang on again. This is out of the old school. None of your rider modes. Oh, let me just put it in wet weather. Well, you're going to have to change the tyres and the suspension setup. You can't just push a button. This is old school, like it was back in the day, when Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, and Yamaha went head-to-head in this middleweight market to try and build the best all-rounder, really. A bike that you could take, ride to work, and then to the track at the weekend or on your holidays. An all-rounder. A sports bike that was also cheap to run. I mean, you know, some of the stuff on here is pretty basic. Look at these levers. They're pretty, you know, they're pretty straightforward. There are some aftermarket bits and bobs on this one. That yoke cover there, and these bar ends aren't stock, and there's a few decals and bit of something that thinks it's carbon fibre, and these aren't the original indicators and stuff like that. That's not the original Encan. It's a Viper. Yeah, a Viper. I've never heard of them. That was probably made in a shed in Burslem or like Bridlington or somewhere else beginning with B. Bolton, maybe. But it's not as big as the standard one, and it probably makes a better sound, and it was probably cheap. which is why it's, well, cheaper than like a Two Brothers or a Vance & Hines or a Yoshimura. What? Well, would you be putting a Yoshimura on an R6? Yeah, you would. But they were a lot of money. Viper, affordable, and it made the right sound. A good, honest, all-round sports bike, like the lad said here, out of the old school. From 1999, there's no reserve on that one. You might just grab yourself a cracking bargain. Look at this. Evo Blade, hold on. No. Oof, yeah, no. Ah, it's the anniversary. Whew, I thought we had something even more special then. But we have got something special. This 50th anniversary limited edition Honda Britain CBR 900RR. 50th anniversary, thought to be the lowest number in the UK. At, what's its number? Number 2. Unless there's number 1 out there. The plate included is R3 HRC. Very nice. Honda, 1948 to 1998, their 50th anniversary. They built this bike to celebrate. Great looking bike. Honda colours. Not these sort of, a lot of these are in those sort of shell suit colours. You know, well, do you know I was going to say wore a shell suit? I'm not going to say that person. I'm going to say somebody else. Mad Lizzie off of TVAM. She liked a colourful shell suit, didn't she? Yeah, and maybe some of those bikes now do look a bit dated. This one, in the Honda colours, red, white and black, the anniversary limited edition, number 2 of the Honda Fireblade. It's in fantastic condition. It's done about 8,000 miles from new. One previous owner, all of the identity decals that signify that it is the anniversary edition are in place. Akrapovic muffler on there, all in steering damper on the front. I think this was the best looking iteration of the Honda Fireblade, and we reckon between £6,000 and £7,000 for that one. The 1998 Blade 50th anniversary. 50th anniversary of Honda, not of the Fireblade, obviously. 1948 to 1998. FZ1000 X-Up. The first litre bike I ever rode. I've told the story before, I'll tell it again. I knew a lad called Jeremy Howlett, I still do a bit, and he bought one of these. He made a lot of money for himself. It wasn't daddy's money, it was his money. He made a lot of money for himself as a very young man, and one of the things he spent it on was one of these. And when it arrived, I was there, and I hadn't ridden anything over 400. The biggest thing I'd ridden at the time was a Honda 404, one of which we have over there and will be offered for sale here at Manor Park this coming Friday, when you can join us either in person in this great facility here in Runcorn in the northwest, or obviously on the interweb. Anyway, I was there, and the first thing that he said when they wheeled it out of the back of the van was, "Go on, Steve, you can ride a bike." And I got on this and I rode it, and I thought, it was like in the Blues Brothers when Jake and Elwood are at the back of the church and James Brown is up there going, "Do you see the light? Do you see the light?" And he goes, "I see it." And he does like cartwheels. That was me. I rode up the road on one of these and I saw the light. Absolutely phenomenal performance for 1989. 1000cc inline 4-cylinder 5-speed gearbox. This one was previously registered, it says here, abroad, which makes it sound quite exotic. I don't think it's, is it a grey? Yeah, it's got kilometre clocks. Well, it could be Europe, couldn't it? Could be Spain, somewhere like that. Actually, there's very little sort of rot and corrosion on all the stuff down here where you have a look. Some of these clips aren't brilliant, they could be replaced. But the struts and the calipers, the wheels, the exhaust, you know, the shifters, the frame, all that sort of stuff. Really good, Nick. 42,500 kilometres from new. They made this one from 87 to 95. generally regarded as the world's finest production sports motorcycle. Well, certainly by me, having only ridden a Honda 404 up to then and generally ridden around on like 125s, 250s and Vespas and Lambretta scooters up until then, riding one of these, I saw the light. And you could see it just like I did for, to paraphrase the Duke, cheap as chips, £1,500 to £2,000 for a classic. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Some bikes are just old. Most bikes just become old. Some are classic. Some old bikes are classic. And this, the Yamaha FZR1000, X-Up, Genesis, engine technology, frame technology, is a classic and always will be. And of all the bikes here, it's the one that I'm most tempted to put in my garage. But if you want it, you might have to bid against me this coming Friday. $1,500 to £2,000 on the 1989 Yamaha FZR1000, which for me is the pick of the wholesale. We left the best till last. I will see you on Friday. I'll be here online, and if you can be bothered to rock up in person at our fantastic facility here in Runcorn, we'll be more than happy to welcome you to our bike sale here at Manor Park. See you Friday.